Part 22. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 212. River God slowly typed a question mark on the public screen. No, who told you that the river god needs to pick up things every day? Do you think we are collecting rags? The unknown river god slowly emerged from the water, just like the real spirit of Luhi. The red and black robe became darker and darker, exuding an extremely terrifying supernatural power. They are also top red shirts, and their terror levels are also divided into high and low levels. Holding a ghost sword, the deaf-mute old ghosts who have remained at their peak are undoubtedly the strongest group in the top red-clothed levels. Even the Ghost King can be forcibly dismembered with one strike, risking his own life. But the deaf-mute old ghost who lost his supernatural power and could only rely on the ghost sword was much weaker than him, and could barely be considered the first echelon. The current terror of this river god is the same as that of the deaf-mute old ghost in its heyday. Shenjian felt. On top of the top red shirts, a range should be divided. That is the half-step Ghost King. This level of fierce ghost is stronger than Hong Ai, but weaker than the Ghost King. No doubt. The river god is a half-step Ghost King. Human, what do you want to do? The river god asked a second time. The supernatural oppression becomes more severe. Shenjian walked over step by step, and the magic of Luhi could not sink him. Walking on the water, he felt like walking on flat ground. Someone dropped something. As the river god, shouldn't you help pick it up and take out a golden morning stick, a silver morning stick, and a white morning stick for me to choose from? If you choose the right one, give me all three. Shenjian looked like it was natural. When facing the headless old lady, he cosplayed as a river god. Put out a gold head, a silver head, or a dead head, and let the other person choose. In the end, he followed the river god's consistent style and gave 3 heads to the honest child. This is how a river god should appear. River god. You must have watched too many cartoons. If I could create 2 ghost weapons that were exactly the same and even had stronger supernatural effects, I would have been hiding in the deep mountains and old forests to farm and develop them, and then dominate the world. Human, are you making fun of me? I don't have what you want here. Although you are very strong, even the Luo River cannot sink you, but you need to know that there are people outside the world, and there is a sky outside the world. If you don't want to die here, it's best not to step into this river again. The river god gave a cold warning. The Luo River is a ghost lake that can not only sink supernatural beings, but can even suppress all supernatural effects. Once someone is thrown into the Luo River, they will basically have no ability to get up. There really is something about this human being. But not much. As a river god, he is not afraid. No. Shenjian's expression became increasingly dissatisfied and he stared at the other person for a long time. I understand, you don't even have the most basic abilities of the river god. You must be a fake. You pretended to be a river god and made fun of me, and you occupied the Luo River without paying river management fees. Very good, but you have completely pissed me off. River god. Damn it, who is making fun of whom? You don't have any idea, do you? His face became darker and darker. The body completely emerged from the water, forming a complete ghost, facing Shenjian directly, with his robes fluttering. Human, you have a way to die. The river god said grimly. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire Luo River seemed to be angry and wanted to bury Shenjian in this river. Haha, there are so many people here today, and if you don't give me this face, you are slapping me in the face. Haha, if you dare to smack the underworld in the face, you will be dead. Seeing that the river god had come out, Shenjian also showed a strange smile. The words fell. A lame old man who had his coat taken off came out. His eyes were empty and his expression was dead. It is the village chief of Sujia village. A top-notch red coat, is this your arrogant capital? The river god had a sneer on his face. He knew this fierce ghost. He was the head of a village upstream. In previous years, he would lead everyone to hold the river god festival. He was also his head chef. But it was just a top-notch red coat, and even with this human being, it was no match for him. Shen Jian waved again. The Nyulai ghost king with black horns came out. The river god's face finally turned serious. He is only a half-step ghost king. Although he is confident of fighting with the natural advantage of Luhi, he may also suffer a loss. It seems I underestimated you. The river god said in a sinister voice. As soon as he finished speaking, another figure appeared in the field. Boom, boom, boom. Amidst the sound of drums, an old man with corpse stains came out, with a human skin drum hanging on his waist. With the knocking, some kind of terrifying supernatural being filled the place. Even Luohi, who was in a rage, became calm. What? The face of the river god changed completely. Although the tall figure with horns from before was also a ghost king, it did not pose much of a threat to him, so he could still remain calm. But this old man with corpse spots playing the human skin drum was different. The other party's weird drum sound suppressed Luohi's supernatural power. At this level, he has almost caught up with his mother. This old man is definitely the best among ghost kings. In a real fight, with Luohi's advantage, he might only be able to compete with the old man for a short time, but under the attack of another ghost king and the top red clothes, he is definitely no match. The river god glanced left and right, already thinking about how to use Luohi's advantage to escape and seek help from his mother. The fake river god, if he slaps me in the face, he is slapping the underworld in the face. Do you still want to escape with your life? Old god Shen Jian watched and was not in a hurry to take action. It seems to be waiting for something. River god. When did I slap you in the face? He was a little crazy. He didn't see how strong this human being was, but he could see that this human being had a way of criticizing others. There are a bunch of crooked theories, and you will be led into them if you are not careful. Human, I'm just giving you a normal warning. I've never slapped you in the face. Don't talk nonsense. But if you do it here, aren't you afraid that I will go to the bottom of the Luo River and find my mother to make the decision? Don't talk about the two ghost kings in front of you then. Even if there are 3 more ghost kings, they won't be able to protect you. He made vicious threats. The face of the underworld is as big as the sky. Today you slapped my face on the underworld. Even if I risk their lives, I will kill you in front of the river goddess. Shen Jian pressed the old man Lianggui's shoulder and spoke decisively. The facial muscles of a group of people on the shore couldn't help but twitch. Good guy, you have a way of fighting for other people's lives. Lord Yama is mighty and mighty. He is a mere river god. He can kill with just a wave of his hand. Fang Yuan roared excitedly. He didn't seem to feel embarrassed at all and just shouted out the cheerleading atmosphere. Shen Jian cast an approving look. Xiao Fang, you are very wise. Today I will show you a performance, beating up the river god. Cameraman, remember not to miss a single frame. This is a rare first-hand information about the battle between Ghost Kings. With this, you can tell others that you participated in the war between Ghost Kings. Cameraman. He took pictures more carefully. The smell of gunpowder in the atmosphere is getting stronger and stronger. The river god finally couldn't help it anymore. Wait a minute, human, don't you just want me to pick things up for you? I'll just pick them up. His expression was a little humiliated. But he really can't beat the current lineup. Never mind. Just think of it as being ordered by a dog once. Soon. The river god reappears. He handed over the white morning stick. He said coldly, human, okay, get out of here quickly. Shenjian holds a morning stick. No, the three I dropped, one is gold and one is silver, why did you pick up an ordinary one? Speaking of which, Shenjian's face turned cold again. Tell me, where did you hide my other two sticks? River God. I will hum you as a fairy. Without hesitation, the river god once again gave Shenjian a sinister look, dove into the river, and disappeared without a trace as he turned into Yinchi. The ghost-refining old man lost his target. He stood motionless. But this time, Shenjian raised his foot and stepped hard. Boom! A terrifying and absolute suppressive power instantly calmed down all the supernatural beings in Luhe, causing the supernatural river to cry out. 300 meters away, a figure rushed out screaming. The lame old man, the Niuli Ghost King, and the old ghost refining man all pounced on him. Soon, screams spread in all directions. Shenjian walked over. Seeing that the river god no longer struggled. Instead, he had a sinister look on his face and stared at him. Human, are you sure you want to kill me? Hear this. Shenjian was a little surprised. I didn't expect that you, at such a young age, would be so perceptive. How did you know that I didn't actually want to kill you? Said. Shenjian knelt down and patted the river god on the shoulder. With a face full of care and concern for the elders, he said earnestly, as long as you take out the 2 gold and silver morning sticks that I dropped, we can get together and have a good time, don't you think? But you insist on admitting it and want to keep it for yourself, so what do you want? What should I do? There's nothing I can do about it. The river god opened his mouth with a look of astonishment on his face. What is your brain circuit? When I say this, shouldn't you ask me why you can't kill me? Is there anything else you can rely on? And you know best whether you have 2 sticks of gold and silver. Shenjian understood what the other party meant. Only those who have wronged you know how wronged you are. At this time, an urgent voice sounded, you have caused a big trouble and committed a big crime. He can't be killed. He can't be killed. Everyone frowned. Just then I saw the old village chief rushing over. He looked like he was in imminent disaster. Stop him! The ancient instructor shouted. They can't participate in the battle between redcoat classes. But it is relatively easy to suppress a Tsingyi level ghost. The old man was completely suppressed and fell to the ground. But he still wailed, he is the river god and the son of the river goddess. Killing him will mean a complete war with the river goddess. You cannot afford the consequences. Little baby, I know you are very powerful, but you are still young, and you have never seen the scene of the river goddess getting angry. Oh, what will happen? Listen. Shenjian's eyes moved. He had delayed for so long, and even beat the river god in public on the Luo River, but the river goddess did not even show up. He suspected that the other party did not have the ability to perceive the outside world. It's possible that it's stuck in a state of panic. When the river god dies, the river goddess will become angry. Natural disasters and ghost disasters will continue around the Luo River. It will surely become a ghost land. In the ghost land, corpses will be everywhere, starvation will be everywhere, and there will be no life left. You will harm thousands of ghosts and monsters. The old man gritted his teeth. Still struggling to break free. Shenjian looked at him calmly. Then he looked at the river god and asked, is that so? The river god's face was filled with joy. You finally got to the point. That's right, my mother is now in a semi-dead state. No one can wake her up. The only one who can wake her up is me. As soon as I die, my mother will wake up automatically. When the time comes, you will not be able to escape mother. The pursued. Laugh. In the eyes of the river god, Shenjian excitedly took out the ghost knife and completely dismembered the river god. The moment when the head rolled off, the river god's wide eyes were completely dumbfounded. No, Are you a tough guy? Even if you know that you will die if you kill me, why can't you think of a win-win situation? The old man was also confused. Sinner, sinner, the river goddess is angry, you are the sinner here, and you will be cut to pieces with 1,000 knives? The old man is completely crazy. He showed a terrible death state, as if he was going to die with them. Be honest. The ancient instructor stretched out a black-spotted arm and pressed it down on the old man. The next moment, Shen Jian looked into the distance. His eyes were filled with excitement. Felt it? At the moment when the river god was dismembered, he noticed that an extremely terrifying supernatural wave was reviving. Rumble. There was a terrifying roar in the distance. Like flash floods and tsunamis, like snow-capped mountains collapsing. The whole land was shaking. The amplitude of the vibration is visible to the naked eye. Each player's eyes widened in horror, unable to imagine how terrifying a ghost that could make such a huge noise must be. From a distance, they noticed that the fog around them was increasing. The air is becoming more humid. They got up. I want to evacuate this place. However, they found that a terrifying supernatural oppression came and fell on everyone's shoulders, making their steps extremely difficult and difficult to move. At the end, it was even difficult to stand firm, let alone take steps. Then, they witnessed scenes of indescribable splendor. The Luo River rose to a height of more than 10 feet. Without any support, it rises crazily in a state that goes against the common sense of physics, and a large amount of water flows over it. The height of the Luo River is skyrocketing. A terrifying giant wave formed. Everything around him turned blue. Obviously, they have been trapped in the ghost realm for some time. Everyone looked at the scene in shock. The river water rolled up endless white bones and countless floating corpses. An extremely sinister aura spread out, and the coldness permeated the air, locking onto everyone present. It was the resurgence of a terrifying will. The river goddess is angry, this is the river goddess angry. The old man, who looked dead all over, was suppressed back to his normal state. He shouted in horror. Together with other villagers in the village, he knelt down in the direction of the rising flood and kowtowed his head piously. River goddess, all this has nothing to do with us. It is all the work of these people. I have tried my best to dissuade you. The old man's frightened voice also made all the players present feel their scalps go numb. What kind of terrifying ghost can make a group of weirdos not even show their dignity, and kowtow in fear like the most humble slaves when the other party doesn't even show up? The waves continue. Small waves kept splashing on the Luo River, and the water was rolling, seemingly carrying the raging anger of someone with a terrifying will. The water is still rising. In the end it reached more than 30 feet. It feels like the entire Luhi River has come alive and become a fierce ghost. The overwhelming horror almost suffocated everyone, and the blood on their faces faded little by little, turning into ashen. They could no longer tell whether this was the anger of the river god or the hallucination of the ghost realm. Even the ancient instructor looked like his pupils were shrunken. Apparently, the horror of this fierce ghost has exceeded his understanding of the Ghost King. It is not that there has never been a Ghost King in the Yang world. He also witnessed the birth of a Ghost King in the Ice and Snow Castle dungeon. But the oppression brought by these two Ghost Kings is far less than 1/10 of that of the river goddess. Deep, abyss-level ghost. This word immediately popped into the mind of the ancient instructor. If the Ghost King comes, the country is in danger of being destroyed. The appearance of that abyss-level ghost is a national crisis. This level of ghosts is no longer a terrifying existence that humans can come into contact with. But in Shen Jian's eyes, a judgment was also made. It is infinitely close to the abyss-level ghost, but it possesses strength beyond the normal abyss level. It's the Luo River. This river goddess is on the main battlefield, and with the help of the supernatural power of the entire Luo River, she has reached the point of being comparable to the abyss-level ghosts. Yamluo, are you sure? Instructor Gu regretted it at this time. This supernatural power is so terrifying. Before seeing the true form of the river goddess, his ghost Jigsaw was suppressed to the point where he did not dare to show up. No matter how he controlled it, the ghost Jigsaw in his body did not dare to appear, and even conveyed a hint of panic. There is a sense that if he calls out again, he will try his best to revive his ghost. This situation. It was his first time seeing it. All these circumstances illustrate the terrifying nature of this river goddess. That is no longer a field that ordinary people can enter. Shen Jian glanced at these people. Next, watch carefully and study hard. Although you may never face an abyss-level ghost in your life, these practical experiences are of little use to you, but you should use them when you go out to brag in the future. Upon hearing this, all the players who were humbly learning the lesson all twitched their lips. That being said, why does it sound so ugly? I can't give you serious guidance once. The originally horrified emotions of all the players dissipated somewhat under Shen Jian's truth. Yes. They also have Lord Yama. The other party didn't panic, so why did they panic? Everyone looked at Shen Jian's back. After. Their eyes widened one by one. Shen Jian turned his head. He went away facing the monstrous tsunami. King Guang of Qin, the Hall of Yama resides in the sea. The king of Chujiang, who controls the bottom of the sea, lives in hell. The emperor of the Song dynasty was in charge of the black rope fire hell at the bottom of the sea. Control the river in front of the king of hell, and do whatever you want. The sky is rolling and the sea is falling. For all to see. The turbulent sea water formed a series of stairs. Every time Shen Jian took a step, invisible ripples spread. To the end. It was as high as the waves. People are taller than the sky. At that moment, they felt like they couldn't see Shen Jian's back clearly. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chi Gua. Chapter 213. Above the sky, invisible stairs made by the raging river lifted Shen Jian higher and higher. In front of the king of hell, who controls the bottom of the sea, he tries to control the power of a small river and tries to do whatever he wants. Shen Jian's face was expressionless. With every step he took, his aura suddenly increased. The form of King Yama, 30%. With these words, the surging supernatural river began to surge. In the boundless waves, the rivers merged, and a giant hand that tore the sky apart stretched out from the clouds. That was no longer a supernatural collision, but a miracle. Forged by the sea, the hand of the sky reaches out. Looking at the scene in front of me, everyone was stunned. His eyes widened with deep shock and awe. They swore that they would never forget what happened before their eyes. It will be deeply imprinted in my mind and cannot be forgotten. Because it's so spectacular. And be there. You can even feel the majesty in it. Lord Yama is right, such miracles will be difficult for them to surpass in their lifetime. Under the shadow of the giant hand tearing the sky apart, faith is the most fragile thing. Luhi's roar became more and more intense. Large swaths of river water gathered crazily, suddenly stopping the trend of falling and continuing to rise. The river goddess is afraid, she is afraid. She felt that the 30-foot-high river water could not resist this blow. Lord Yama, kill her. Awesome, the boss is awesome. The eyes of all the players were so intense that they were almost going crazy. Their faces were flushed with excitement, their breathing was getting heavier, and they were staring at this scene, for fear of missing any detail. Some of the ancient instructor's view was the most horrifying. I was so shocked that I couldn't close my mouth. He once thought that he had a certain understanding of the strength of this suspected underworld city god. But now, he was confused and stupid. This is different from the nether finger that crushed the ghost king who came to Lekang. This giant hand in the sea is more majestic, and even more impossible to look directly at. According to mythological records, the city god is the backbone of the underworld. He lives in the city god's hall and is served by the world. He enlightens one's wisdom and protects peace. In terms of responsibilities, he is basically the same as the top leader of the ancient local officials. It's just that one handles government affairs in the human world and the other handles government affairs in the underworld. How could such a ubiquitous underworld city god possess such great power? Is this already the upper limit of his strength? Or is this far from his limit? A city god can crush the legendary abyss-level ghosts. If he has full strength, wouldn't he be able to kill ghosts and gods? What about the 10 palaces of Yama above the city god? Where is the ghost emperor of the 5 directions? Where is the lord of the underworld, Yentianzi? Why did the underworld, which possesses such terrible power, disappear from the eyes of the world, so that the world of the underworld is invaded by horror games, strangely revived, and mysteriously descended? Or is he actually not the city god? A lot of confusion appeared in the mind of the ancient instructor. But he had no time to care about this. Because that giant hand has arrived. Shenji unmoved. The giant hand brewing in the sky also moved accordingly. Then, pressed down with a crash. At this moment, the world seemed to stand still. With a sound like a mirror breaking, the ghost realm of the river goddess was broken by a direct external force, and everyone returned to the edge of the Ludo River. Watching helplessly, the giant hand in the sea collided with the 50-foot high water of the Ludo River. Boom! A hand and a river collide. There was no sound of collision, no trace of fierce resistance. The giant hand of the sea suppressed the raging waves back to the Luhi River. During this period, a large number of white bones were swept away by the waves, and the endless floating corpses let out shrill wails. These floating corpses were all ghosts thrown into the Ludo River as sacrifices. After a long period of supernatural erosion in the Ludo River, they had already turned into ghost slaves. This number is more than 1,800. Once they all flow out of the Luhi River, natural disasters and ghost disasters will continue here, and corpses will be everywhere. Shenjian's heart was bleeding. If these evil ghosts can fill up to the 18th level of hell, the 14th level will be unlocked. But now, they were thrown into Luhi by those ignorant villagers, and they have been completely transformed into ghost slaves. Once they leave Luhi for too long, they will completely lose their supernatural powers and turn into a puddle of mud. Such a ghost slave is not even qualified to be cast into the 18th level of hell. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Countless floating corpses were pressed back to Luhi River and crushed on the spot. In everyone's shock, Luhi returned to peace. Shenjian fell down and looked around. In the Luhi River that gradually returned to calm, something gradually emerged. Shenjian glanced over. On the river, a red figure stood on the water. Her hair is very long and slightly messy. She is wearing a bright red paper wedding dress. There is a faint look on her pretty face with gritted teeth. Full of classical charm. Especially a pair of waists, as if the spring breeze blowing through willow leaves in February drew a perfect curve. This river goddess stayed in a woman's most beautiful years, with both youthful and mature charm. At this time, the other party said nothing, exuding a strange and terrifying aura, and stared straight at Shenjian. There was sadness and anger, fear and hidden fear in his eyes. Shenjian's eyes moved. River Goddess. Level, Ghost King. Introduction: she was originally a talented woman in ancient times, and she was in love with the groom. However, due to the ignorance of her family, she dressed up as a bride and sank into the sea as an offering to the river god. Her unwilling resentment made her swallow the river god and became the new Luhi river god. Her only thought in life is her son, and she wants to avenge her son. Current status: angry, unwilling, and fearful. Favorability, -80, grand enemy of life and death. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. With 80 points of favorability and a life or death feud, he unlocked a new stage of negative favorability. Judging from the introduction, this river goddess is really from ancient times. Human, if you kill my son, I will definitely kill you. The river goddess made a vicious sound. The greatness of maternal love made her not choose to leave, but continued to confront Shen Jian, obviously accumulating strength and preparing to launch the next supernatural attack. Shen Jian showed a smile. Coming in stride. Don't you just want a son? For the peace of this place, and for the thousands of villagers who rely on Luhi for survival, I am willing to dedicate myself to let you have a child and pour into me true maternal love. River goddess? The expression on her handsome face seemed to freeze for a moment. Want me to have a baby? Are you sure this is sacrificing yourself? Wife. Shen Jian shouted very skillfully. If you are not satisfied, I can also put myself in the groom's robe, sink again, and treat it as if the villagers brought you a husband. River goddess. Roll. Who is your wife? What are you shouting about? She backed away subconsciously. She was still afraid of this man. That power was simply the power of ghosts and gods. If she had to avenge her son, she actually didn't want to stay and face this terrifying man. You killed my son. She said every word. So I said, I will pay you one, and in 10 months, you will get one of your own flesh and blood. Shen Jian is very serious. The river goddess opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but she felt as if her throat was stuck and she didn't know what to say. But her expression said it all. She wants to fight Shen Jian desperately. See this. Shen Jian also sighed. He said, since you missed it, don't blame me for using other means. Said. Shen Jian took out the body of the son of the river god. Being directly cut off by the ghost sword, no matter how strong the ghost is, he will fall into a state of death. But the supernatural is immortal. The son of the river god simply fell into a long dormant state. Shen Jian's yin energy poured in. The body of the son of the river god immediately changed. It began to struggle violently, and the dormant yin qi also showed signs of revival. Soon, the river god woke up. The first thing I saw was my mother's caring expression. His face lit up. As he was about to go to his mother, he found that he had been caught. And the person who caught him was the human being that he hated so much. What's the situation? Didn't his mother kill him? Doubt flashed in the eyes of the river god. Mother, kill me quickly. The words have not yet finished. Shen Jian knocked him unconscious. Ah, what are you doing? The river goddess's face was stunned at first when she saw her son waking up, then she was happy, and finally she became crazy. His eyes were fixed on Shen Jian. There is a strong intention to directly step forward to snatch it? Have you thought about it clearly? Do you think you are faster or I am faster? I can save him and dismember him again. It's useless if you try to snatch him away. Said. Shen Jian threw the body of the river god's son in front of the river god's empress. The poor mother held her son in her arms and looked at Shen Jian with splitting eyes. Human, how can you let my son go? Whatever conditions you have, just make them. Shen Jian stepped forward and leaned down. Then, would you like to make you my slave? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 214. Slave, slave. The pretty face of the river goddess suddenly froze, and her eyes flashed twice. Even if she didn't need any explanation, she understood what it meant. She was a talented woman from ancient times, so she naturally had some knowledge of the hookups of wealthy people. This was a kind of existence that was even lower than a servant or a servant. It almost exists to please its owner. Once she nodded, it meant that she became this man's possession. She couldn't accept such conditions. But with her strength, even with the supernatural power of Luhi, she could only reach the abyss-level ghost temporarily. In the last collision, she was completely crushed. The opponent's terror level is at least above the abyss level. Maybe even a ghost. She was not sure about escaping with her son. The term. After a brief silence. The voice of the river goddess is like a mosquito. The delicate red lips spoke with difficulty. As a ghost king and the god of the Luhi River, she could not accept that she would live in this identity forever, and there must be a time limit. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. Before your son is promoted to Ghost King. The river goddess looked up in shock. Although her son is a supernatural creation and not her biological son, he still has the normal way to advance to the level of a fierce ghost. What's more, he is now infinitely close to the Ghost King. It can be as short as 1 or 2 years or as long as 3 to 5 years, and he will definitely be able to advance. With her helping out, maybe 2 years or so would be enough. 2 years. Be his R. The river goddess pursed her lips and held her son in her arms. Her paper wedding dress was scattered messily on the water. She looked down at herself, her face full of determination. I accept. What? I accept. The river goddess raised her head resolutely. As long as you let my son go, I will do anything. See this. Shen Jian's smile became even brighter. Even 80 points of favorability can make the other party compromise like this. It seems that her fake son has a high status in her heart. But this is not unusual. The other party was forcibly sent as a sacrifice to the river god by her family. She became the Luhi river god at a young age and hid at the bottom of the river all day long. The son she created naturally became the motivation for her to live. Very well, as a slave, you must absolutely obey my orders. In exchange, as long as you do not do anything that dissatisfies me, I will not punish you. The river goddess shrank in fear. What exactly are the unsatisfactory behaviors? Shen Jian did not answer directly. Observing people's emotions is the most basic ability of a servant. Do you think you are qualified for your job now? The river goddess slowly lowered her head and glanced at her son who was in a coma. She tightly held the side hem of the paper wedding dress with both hands, feeling extremely entangled in her heart. But eventually, she still put down her pride as the Ghost King, closed her eyes, raised her head with a blush on her face, and made a weak voice. Master, Master. When Shen Jian listened, something strange appeared in his eyes. Tell me about you. From what I see, you look like you are going to be promoted to the abyss-level ghost. The river goddess was silent for a moment. Not yet. I am a fake river god after all. Although I have the supernatural powers of the old river god, my own supernatural powers are not strong enough. I need to annex the sea areas of other tributaries to expand my territory, but other tributaries, all the river gods are veteran ghost kings, and I can't match them. Even Luhi's supernatural power was taken away from him. Shen Jian's eyes moved. River gods of other tributaries? Are there many river gods like you? Shen Jian's smile became even brighter, and he couldn't hide the excitement on his face. He was even more excited than when the river goddess called him master. According to the meaning of the river goddess, she has a relatively weak foundation among the river gods, and there are veteran ghost kings who are stronger than her everywhere. If you catch them all, the 5th Yamahal will be unlocked. Not too little. The river goddess looked at this man strangely, as if she didn't understand his excitement, but she still explained, this place belongs to the Wei River Basin, and there are many tributaries. Although not every tributary has a river god, there are definitely a lot of them. Especially in the sea area that merges into the center of the Wei River, there is a ghost and god. That is the source of all river gods. Hear this. Shen Jian was thoughtful. The so-called river god is just a nicer name. According to the supernatural classification, the river god belongs to the water ghost category. That ghost should also be a water ghost. Apart from the glorious ghost, this was the second ghost he had heard of. Shen Jian was thinking about something. Time is running out. After solving the problem of the river goddess, the game is about to settle. Think about it. Shen Jian said, you leave with me. As for your son, let him find his own way out. Why? Lord, Master, I mean my son is still young. It might be dangerous if he is left alone. The river goddess looked at Shen Jian pleadingly. Have you ever thought that you are restricting his freedom? He has the power to be infinitely close to the Ghost King. No matter where he goes, he can live well. Don't you want to get rid of me as soon as possible? Then don't you he should be restrained and allowed to journey alone. Shen Jian sipped chicken soup. Joke. How could he play with such a light bulb? It can be said that as long as the son of the river god is here, it will be difficult for him to break through the heart of the paper wedding dress in front of him and make her fall completely. Hear this. The river goddess was shocked. After a while, it was hard to nod. See this scene. Shen Jian thought of an evil idea. Empress, if you don't want your son to give up on himself, just listen to me later. Soon, the son of the river god wakes up. He saw his mother standing next to Shen Jian, with her head lowered, her mouth pursed, and her eyes evasive. Mother, this human trampled on Luohe and used violence against me. He almost killed me. Please kill him quickly. The river goddess lowered her head. In silence. The other side. Seeing his most respected mother was indifferent. The son of the river god immediately understood something, and his eyes suddenly became resentful. Luohe's supernatural power was being mobilized, but soon he found that his control over Luohe was being taken away. It's the mother. She took away control of Luohe. Mother, you. Watch this scene. The son of the river god was bleeding inside. Mother, you are threatened by him, right? Just say something and I will go and save you right away. His voice trembled, hoping that his mother would tell him that he was being threatened. The river goddess said nothing. Because there is no point in saying it. This man's terror was more than what mother and son could handle together. Because of your mother's compromise, I'll let you go for the time being. Get out of here and leave as far away as possible. When you are promoted to Ghost King, come back to me. Shen Jian said. No longer paying attention to the son of the river god, he hugged his mother and turned to leave. He looked like he was successful. On the Luo River, the son of the river god was left staring blankly at his mother's back. No. Wrong. The mother was definitely threatened. After all, my mother would never fall in love with a man in such a short period of time. What's more, this kind of human being tramples on the Luo River. Did his mother's compromise bring him safety? No. The son of the river god was filled with grief and anger. He didn't need to think about it to know how his beautiful mother would be treated by her enemies. He vowed to get his mother back. But not yet. He is too weak. There is no use in getting infinitely close to the Ghost King. He must advance to the level of Ghost King, even surpass his mother, and reach the true abyss-level ghost, so that he can save his mother. And it can't be delayed too long. Otherwise, no one will know what kind of inhuman treatment the mother will suffer. Ghost Town. This place immediately popped into the mind of the son of the river god. It is said that those fierce ghosts who can survive in the ghost city will eventually become the Ghost King. He's going to a ghost town. Build your own foundation. Then snatch my mother back from this enemy. 30 years in Hedong, 30 years in Hexi, don't bully young people into poverty. Does this really work? What the son of the river god didn't see was that after he left, his mother turned back to watch him go away. Shen Jian said casually, the hatred of the mother is irreconcilable. Said. Shen Jian exerted slight pressure on his palms. A soft body pressed up against him. You are mine until your son comes back. Finished. He blocked the river goddess. This is also the time. A scarlet panel emerged. This round of game has ended. Congratulations to the player for clearing the first 7 dungeons. The copy is being settled. Rating, S. Experience gained, 500%. Note, you have been promoted to level 34. Items obtained, Thriller Coin * 5000. Get special reward, Village Massacrer. Note, congratulations to the player for triggering the hidden achievement. Since the player is the first to trigger the hidden achievement, the title effect has been decentralized. Please explore on your own. Get a special reward, Ghost Taoist's Murderous Intention. Note, when the player uses the Ghost Sword and is detected by the Ghost Taoist, he will have murderous intent towards you, and will leave the dojo at the appropriate time to pursue you. Real world. Shen Jian opened his eyes. Glancing at the scarlet panel. Startled slightly. Village Massacre, when the player is in the village, the deterrent power is at 100%, and the attack power against the villagers is at 100%. This title is very impressive. This is the first time a thriller game has given him a title that is obviously positive feedback. It seems that the effects of everything he has done in the copy have appeared. Shen Jian showed a smile. Look at the second special reward. Ghost Taoist. If you haven't guessed correctly, this should be referring to the ancestor of the village chief's family, the Ghost King level ghost who returned from fighting in the Ghost City, and is also the true master of the Ghost Sword. Shen Jian was thoughtful. It seems that this ancestor of the Su family is still holding on somewhere. Just thinking about it? Shen Jian found a sudden sound coming from the master bedroom of the villa. He was slightly startled. His master bedroom should have no one except Sui Gui, his fake wife, and at this point in time, it's not yet time for Sui Gui to appear. Newcomer. Shen Jian looked excited. He just liked the feeling of being on the front line of the evil spirits. Step forward. Shen Jian pushed open the bedroom door. A painting suddenly fell to the ground. It's a ghost painting. In the oil painting, a jade hand as white as porcelain stretches out, and a pair of eyes that seem to reflect the stars in the sky blink lightly. Then he looked at Shen Jian. The cherry lips are also exposed. Shen Jian was a little surprised and said, I thought you missed me. It was promised 5 days, how long has it been now? You said that you were targeted by the Lu family. That is a huge monster. You might be found at any time. The more I think about it, the more I feel that it is not possible. You have triggered my killing pattern. If you die early among other supernatural beings, the principle is violated. So, I went to find the Lu family. And fight with those people. They will not pester you anymore. You can only be killed by me. Gui Hua spoke. The voice seemed to be filled with an inexplicable persistence. Shen Jian. So, you disappeared for so long just to fight with the Lu family. Just for me, you gave up so many people who triggered the murder pattern. Shen Jian was a little surprised. He really didn't expect it. Ghost paintings are so. After thinking for a long time, Shen Jian suppressed one word, stupid. He mentioned the Lu family's name at that time just to tease her. I never thought that the other party would actually go to the Lu family. How silly is this? This is a matter of principle. My people can only be killed by me. Gui Hua still had the same tone. Very persistent. Are you hurt? Shen Jian asked. According to MRS Ghost Story, the Lu family is a family with a very deep foundation, and even a being of the level of Niu Li Ghost King can only marry into the family. And MRS Ghost also revealed that their family has an abyss-level ghost. A little bit, but it will be fine once you practice it. The white jade hands waved. It seems that he doesn't want to be known by Shen Jian. Then he rewrote a 5 in the oil painting. But after thinking about it, she painted it away again. Wrote pending. I'm not helping you. When I've recovered, I will come back to kill you. Before I wake up, you cannot be killed by other supernatural beings. If anyone wants to kill you, tell me, and I will kill him. Although he was saying scary words, there was an unexpected sense of joy. Finished. The hazy woman in the painting gradually transforms into an ink painting with her facial features obscured, revealing only a pair of starry eyes. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 215. Looking at the ghostly portrait that had turned back into an ink painting, Shen Jian felt enlightened. It seems that the ghost painting is in a very serious condition. Otherwise, there would not even be time to say a few words. Think about it too. How can it be that the Lu family, which possesses abyss-level ghosts, is so easy to break into? Even though Gui Hua's body is also a ghost king, and the level of terror is very high, she is isolated and helpless, and she can still escape by fighting against the entire Lu family on her own. Abyss level. The body of Gui Hua is definitely an abyss level ghost. Shen Jian's eyes moved. Think about it. He wrote a few lines on the ink drawing. If you need help, you can come to me. I'm a ghost doctor. The writing disappears. Hidden in the painting. A line of bloody words appeared: public is public, private is private, I won't choose to kill you if you want to help me. I won't choose to save you just because you want to kill me. After a brief silence, the words in blood reappeared: I will find you. On oil painting. All traces disappeared. However, Shen Jian saw that in the portrait, the woman's facial features were covered and only a pair of eyes were exposed. Her starry eyes seemed to be slightly narrowed. The arc seems to be smiling. Come out of the bedroom. Shen Jian returned to the underworld and unlocked the 13th level of hell. The conditions for unlocking the 14th level of hell are, not surprisingly, 10 ghost kings. Shen Jian was thinking about something. Unless you enter a 4-star dungeon or encounter a special dungeon similar to Sujiakan, it will be difficult to see a ghost at the Ghost King level. I don't know where to get these 10 ghost kings. With this thought, Shen Jian came to the city god's hall. Sitting in the seat of the city god, he began to browse the prayer list of the people of Qingxi. The Chenghuang temple has been in operation for some time. With the help of ghost teachers and ghosts, the number of supernatural incidents in Qingxi has dropped sharply. Often when a supernatural event has just happened, before Daxia Longke can react, the ghosts have already arrived at the scene and eliminated them in 3 or 5 attempts. To solve the problem of evil spirits. Basically we are on the right track. But the number of living people is still too small. As the underworld gradually recovers, it is no longer satisfied with the Qingxi area. If it radiates outward, it will inevitably need to build a second, third, or even countless city gods' halls. The number of negative differences required is huge. He needs a living person to help him sort out these. Think about it. Shen Jian stretched out his hand. A book in the city god's hall flew up and landed in his hand. Kind and thin. Like the prayer manual, it is also one of the city god's wonderful methods. You can view a booklet of meritorious people in Qing City. He needs to find a ghost master who knows enough about the supernatural world to help him complete the task of selecting living people. The book flips automatically. Finally stayed on one page. There is a person's name and deeds written on this page. Wei Wei. A native of Wajia village, Qingxi City, he is 52 years old. He is a master of ghosts. He has a loyal temperament and attaches great importance to love and justice. His father died when he was 10 years old, and he was raised by his mother. I graduated at the age of 24, got married and had children the following year, and my life was on the right track. At the age of 42, he has a happy family and a successful career. He retired at the age of 50. In the same year, he experienced a sea-level supernatural incident. He was cursed by a ghost and his life was in danger. He became a ghost master. 51 years old, running on the front line, his arm was torn apart by a ghost while performing a mission. At the cost of this, he was imprisoned by a B-level ghost. At the age of 51, he controls the ghost hand and regains his health. 51 years old, saved 30 people. 51 years old, he saved the residents of a community. 51 years old, saved a village. At the age of 52, he oversqueezed his supernatural power and was eroded by the supernatural. He could no longer control the third ghost and died. Shen Jian looked at the records that were constantly changing on this page. Records of all the supernatural incidents that Wei Wei dealt with were recorded, large and small. In just 1 year, he directly and indirectly saved no less than 500 people. As for his deeds, there are no reports from the outside world. After all, ghost masters are a group of criminals running in the dark. Wei Wei is unknown and has no regrets about doing these things. Wherever there is a supernatural incident, he will go there and come back with scars all over his body. What made Shen Jian even more curious was that this person was not a player. Wei Wei was not invited by the thriller game. In the real world where supernatural events broke out, he controlled a ghost by chance and became a ghost master. This aspect is similar to Kikai who survived the village annihilation incident. Shen Jian looked at Shan Bo. The words "end of life" are brightly displayed on the brochure. The opponent's fate is over. About to die. Think about it. Shen Jian said lightly, "Teacher Ghost, you take 2 ghost messengers to bring back Wei Wei's ghost. After his death, he can be the judge of the underworld. This is his merit." Qingxi Ghost Controller's exclusive hospital. Ward 102. Qian Quan was rushing here with his subordinates. When I walked in, I found a middle-aged man lying on the hospital bed. He was only in his 50s. His hair was white and his face was vicissitudes of life. This was caused by overwork. His exposed arms exuded an aura of decay, with spots of corpses and old wrinkles on them, like a pair of old man's arms. "You are here." Wei Wei's tone was weak. The chest area that was inadvertently opened was parasitized by a pile of straw, sucking his own nutrients, making him even more lethargic. "Mr. Wei, is there really no other way? We have applied to the headquarters for the most suitable third ghost for you. As long as you control the third ghost, the supernatural imbalance in your body will be alleviated and you can survive." Qian Quan was a little anxious. The old man in front of him is the oldest ghost controller in Qing City. He is not a player, but what he has done can be regarded as a selfless contribution. Before the coming of the underworld, the reason why Qingxi could maintain the superficial peace and prevent the masses from panicking was because of this old man's contribution. I know my situation. When I was young, I tried my best to squeeze my body in order to get ahead. And the retribution also broke out when I was 50 years old. My body was seriously overdrawn. I can't make up for it long ago. I can become a ghost master. My life will be worthwhile if I save more people before my body collapses completely. Wei Wei's voice became smaller and smaller. The flashback just now had exhausted all his energy. "After I die, remove the ghost puzzle from my body. It's up to you whether to seal it or pass it on to the next ghost master. Say it." Wei Wei stared at the ceiling, his eyes starting to wander. Everyone was kicked out. Only the doctor was left inside to save her. Qian Quan and others were silent. Only the ghost master knows his physical condition, and the effectiveness of modern technology in supernatural treatment is almost zero. After a while, the doctor announced the time of death. 11:40 a.m. No one spoke at the scene. There were many Daxia Dragon Bird members who had received favor from Mr. Wei, and they were all gathered outside the ward with their heads lowered. Sudden. Qian Quan suddenly raised his head. He seemed to sense an unusual and cold atmosphere. But upon closer inspection, nothing could be found. He took out a round mirror from his body. Take a photo around you. My scalp suddenly exploded. Outside the ward, 3 figures were seen moving sideways from far to near, like wandering black shadows. One of the figures was wearing a robe from the Republic of China period, with a charm chain hanging around his waist. He was walking towards the ward with a broken lantern, followed by 2 figures with empty eyes and numb expressions, wearing black official robes. 3 figures came to Wei Wei's side. The ghost teacher spoke, calling each other's name. Its sound seems to have a special magic power that can awaken ghosts. Wei Wei. The other side. Qian Quan, who was spying with the round mirror, widened his eyes. This round mirror can illuminate ghosts invisible to ordinary people, and can also penetrate the occlusion of the ghost realm. It was a first-hand preparation he made after experiencing the Longteng Mall incident. To prevent yourself from encountering ghosts again, you need to use the ghost realm to see traces of the ghosts. He did not expect that the first time he used the round mirror, he would see such an amazing scene. Seducing the soul. He exclaimed. Hear the words. The rest of the people's eyes focused on Qian Quan. Instructor, what are you shouting? Someone was surprised. I don't understand why Instructor Qian is making such a fuss at this time. Some people are also confused. Because Qian Quan used supernatural things. Staring at the mirror, he seemed to see some scenes that were shocking to his eyes. Some people were on guard. Instructor, is this a supernatural incident? As soon as these words came out, everyone's expressions changed. Qian Quan also said at the right time, something happened. 2 evil ghosts came to Mr. Wei's ward, and there was another one, Judge, a evil ghost. His tone was hesitant. Because he couldn't see the ghost teacher's way. But he could let 2 evil men follow him, and he suspected that the other party was a civil judge among civil and military judges. That's a big shot. You know, life and death. That's what Judge Wen is in charge of. Hear this. Everyone present was stunned. What's wrong? Judge? Hearing these 2 familiar words, no one would not feel horrified. Rumors about the resurrection of the underworld have been widely spread in the supernatural circle, but until they see it with their own eyes, everyone is skeptical. Now, has a sinister judge appeared? Everyone gathered around. Only inside the ward. The picture changes. Wei Wei, who was already dead on the hospital bed, suddenly opened his eyes. I am not dead. Wei Wei was startled and looked at the hospital bed. His body was still lying there. When he looked again, he didn't wake up. It was obvious that his soul had left his body. In front of him stood 2 Yinchi and a judge. He looked stunned. Wei Wei, your life has expired, but you have done many meritorious deeds during your lifetime, and your merits have increased after your death. You can live in the city god's hall. As a shady person, we will personally take you to the city god's hall on the orders of Lord City God. Lord City God, are you doing something underhanded? Wei Wei was stunned. Regarding the recovery of the underworld, even he, who has been on the front line all year round, has heard about it and knows more. But seducing his soul, seeking his life, entering the underworld, and becoming a sinister villain was beyond his imagination. Daxia Longke has been studying the human soul for a long time. Their idea is that even horror games have appeared, ghosts have resurrected, and some people who died in vain can even become lonely ghosts, so there should be souls in the human body. If the soul can be found and the dead ghost master can survive in another form, Yang Shi will have the capital to compete with the horror game. However, the imagination is beautiful, but the reality is a big blow. The theory of the soul simply cannot be established. If what happened in front of us were known to those researchers, it would definitely cause a sensation all over the world and the whole country would be excited. Can a dead person be used as a spy? I don't even have a body. Wei Wei saw a group of people snooping outside the ward, thought about it, and asked. Although he is dead, let him make another contribution. If there is a living person, there will be a dead person. Then they are also shady. Wei Wei pointed at the two ghosts who looked numb and indifferent to everything around them. They are ghost agents. If you become a ghost agent, then they are your subordinates. Why did Lord City God choose me? Lord Cheng Huang naturally has his own reasons. The ghost teacher didn't mind answering Wei Wei's question, because he already knew from the King of Hell that this person was of great use and would be a candidate for the city god in the future and would be his future colleague. Answered. The ghost teacher took Wei Wei's ghost back to the city god's hall. As for the people outside the ward, he ignored them. Because Lord Yama does not care about the existence of the underworld being known. Same time. The sinister atmosphere disappeared. Inside the round mirror, everything returns to nothingness. Mr. Wei, I'm going to be a spy. Someone murmured, with a look of horror on his face. If people can really enter the underworld after death, or even be able to enter the underworld as an official based on their contribution during life, then the meaning it represents is terrible. Report these words to the headquarters verbatim. Qian Quan's tone was low. This matter has too much to do with it. The underworld has revived and is finally reaching out to the world of the sun. He couldn't help but think of Shenjian. Is the Lord City God mentioned by the Chinese judge referring to Shenjian? He remembered that Shenjian seemed to have entered the thriller game. And he still entered with the ancient instructor from the Demon City. Now he only needs to know whether Instructor Gu and his team have returned, so he can accurately determine Shenjian's whereabouts. Once the speculation comes true, the headquarters' attitude towards Shenjian will change again. From the suspected city god of the underworld, to the city god. As expected of you, you caused such a disturbance just after you came back. Qian Quan said to himself. Disappeared into the hospital. At the same time, Wei Wei has already entered the city god's temple under the leadership of the ghost teacher. Entered the city god's hall. Feeling that the surroundings are filled with extremely terrifying yin qi, there is endless darkness on the left and right sides. In the darkness, a simple palace stands with a plaque on it that reads City God's Hall. He was shocked. There is such a huge ghost realm hidden in the city god's temple. He wanted to take out his cell phone and report everything in front of him. But he soon realized who he was. He is no longer a ghost master, but a dead man and a ghost. What happened during his lifetime has nothing to do with him. His future starting point is the city god's hall. Will he have a chance to meet the legendary city god? Wei Wei's thoughts continued. He is the first human being in the Yang world who has truly glimpsed the tip of the iceberg of the underworld. How many people in the world don't know about the underworld? But who can really enter the underworld? No. He is the first. In thoughts, the ghost teacher took the other party to the city god's hall. Wei Wei looked over. There were 2 books on good deeds and bad deeds in front of him. When you first enter the city god's hall, you can come into contact with the core of this place. This is how much the city god values you. It proves your ability. It is your job to find more living and dead yinzai for the underworld. If you can satisfy Lord City God, the position of City God of Kingshi will be yours. The ghost teacher spoke, and the content was earth-shattering. Lord Cheng Huang, are you going to let him inherit this position? What about Lord City God? Wei Wei reacted immediately. If a leader lets someone else inherit this position, there is only one possibility, to be promoted. Above the city god, that is. Yama. Wei is in a panic, wondering where the city god is now. My lord, of course, has his own things to do. In charge of such a big place, what you do must be very hard, so we have to share the burden for you. The ghost teacher said seriously. Wei Wei was solemn. From this colleague, he had a certain understanding of the image of Lord City God. The image of a serious, unsmiling, majestic, and upright city god appeared in his mind. The other side. Horror World Dormitory of Rebirth Villa. Aunt Lu. Shen Jian opened the door, and a graceful figure was standing in front of him. You're an enemy, how long has it been since you came to see my aunt? After many days, when she saw her lover again, the ghost mother Lucienne acted very boldly. Two boneless jade hands were wrapped around Shen Jian's neck, and her seductive red lips were only a few centimeters away. It seems that as long as you take a step closer, you can taste the taste. You can't leave today. Auntie will cook for you personally. It just so happens that I learned some massage on TV during this time. I will relax you later. Ghost Mother Lucienne smiled charmingly. Unbearably seductive. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 216. It's hard to refuse such hospitality. At the warm invitation of the ghost mother Lucienne, Shen Jian entered Aunt Lu's boudoir. Although this is not her home, it is the place where she has lived the longest. As the manager of the villa of the past, and the landlady is not busy, most of the affairs in the villa are handled by her, so naturally she does not have so much time to go back and forth. The room is a high-end hotel suite. There are the most professionally equipped kitchen facilities. Aunt Lu hummed a song and took out a bottle of red wine from the refrigerator while cooking delicious food. According to Aunt Lu, red wine can soften blood vessels and accelerate blood circulation. It can also be used with massage to loosen muscles and bones. Shen Jian nodded. Makes sense. He, an instant top chef who has mastered the ghost spirit knife, also recognized this theory. The two drank a bottle of red wine. Aunt Lu's skin as white and flawless as gelatin turned slightly red. Friend, next time I go home, I will ask for leave to cook you a delicious meal. Aunt Lu rested her head on her elbows and looked at her lover in front of her drunkenly. There was a happy expression on his face. You can do it at any time. If you feel tired, you can hand over part of the work to others, just like the boss lady does. Shen Jian said. Speaking of which, Aunt Lu, the ghost mother, was of great significance to him. Not emotionally, but after the ghost group took out a copy, he really got his first real estate in the horror world, which was room 101, Unit 3, of the Blood Spring community where the ghost mother Lucienne lived. That's not okay. In the past, I only worked part-time. If it weren't for Tong Tong, I wouldn't have worked so hard. It's different now. The villa of the past is your property, and the boss lady doesn't care. Who else can help you here besides me? I don't feel it's hard at all to take care of such a big place. I feel very happy that I can help you. Aunt Lu said softly. He made no secret of his feelings for Shen Jian. Her heart was already hanging on Shen Jian's side. Shen Jian's eyes moved. Ghost Mother Lucienne. Current status, happiness, happiness, happiness. Favorability, 130, extreme love. Sure enough, it exceeded the standard. Shen Jian was as expected. This is already the fifth ghost whose favorability has reached 100 points, but this dog system doesn't recognize him. His stake in Sweet Home Community is still 40%. Shen Jian guessed that the ghosts who started conquering the Sweet Home Community Dungeon could be considered an indicator, and the previous ones were not counted. But, little man, you are now the boss of the villa of the past, why do you still call Sister Qian the boss lady? You two are not related. Shen Jian. Looking at the 130 points of favorable opinion, I thought about it. Shen Jian nodded slowly. Huh, if you're honest, I saw the two of you flirting with each other as early as the Feast of the Afterlife. I heard from people below that you also ran to deliver meals to Sister Qian in those days, so I knew that Sister Qian had escaped. Not out of the palm of your hand. Aunt Lu said angrily. She is the boss lady, and you are also the boss lady here. You are both my angels. Shen Jian stood up. He sat next to Aunt Lu, hugged her and said seriously. A man's mouth is a liar. Aunt Lu said slightly drunk. She seemed a little drunk and did not resist Shen Jian's little moves. It's itchy, don't leave this place alone, it's very itchy. Aunt Lu smiled tenderly. She was like a little girl in Shen Jian's arms. Don't move, I'll give you a massage. Aunt Lu said. I sat on him and started massaging him. Before Shen Jian could react, the next moment, two small hands slowly climbed up to his shoulders and pressed gently. What an upright person Shen Jian is. I can't do that kind of thing where I let others massage me while I am idle. As the old saying goes, help each other. Then, the two helped each other. Men and women are matched, so work is not tiring. After a while, Aunt Lu dressed her husband like a newlywed wife. And smoothed the marks on clothes. Go ahead, I know you came here to discuss something with Sister Qian. Looking at her masterpiece, Aunt Lu patted the dust on Shen Jian's clothes and smiled softly. Shen Jian nodded. Mature and charming women understand men's thoughts best. He came here today because he really had something to do with the landlady. The 14th level of hell needs to be unlocked and requires 10 Ghost Kings. The upper limit of the 3-star copy is the top red level. If you want to meet the Ghost King, you can only look for special copies. And the proprietress of the Rebirth Villa has a special copy. That is the Past Life Villa area. This divided property of the Rebirth Villa has been occupied by others, which is also the heart-wrenching point of the beautiful landlady. What he wants to do is to learn more about the villa area of the deceased from the beautiful landlady. By the way, let's solve the internal and external troubles of the Rebirth Villa. This is what he should do as the Lord of the Past. That's all. Shen Jian came to the small villa owned by the beautiful proprietress. It's so crazy, so delicious. Aunt Yu's cooking is much more delicious than Mom's. Haven't walked in yet. Shen Jian heard Ghost Loli's voice. Walk in and take a look. The beautiful proprietress seemed to have just finished cooking and was watching Ghost Loli taste her food. Seeing Shen Jian, Gui Loli's face immediately fell. She glanced at the time and realized that it was already dinner time, and she had gone to find her mother at noon. The beautiful landlady was delighted. He handed the pickled fish cooked in front of him to Shen Jian. Taste it? Shen Jian nodded. Take a taste. To be fair, the cooking skills of the proprietress have surpassed those of many chefs. There is probably no one in the whole villa of the past who has better cooking skills than the proprietress. But there are still some small details that have not been handled properly. Is that so? You can teach me. Shen Jian nodded. He also signaled the Ghost Loli with his eyes. Do you know how to do it depending on the occasion? Woohoo! Ghost Loli ran away angrily, and before leaving, she took away the food on the table. Then let's start now. The landlady couldn't wait to learn. However, at this moment, Shen Jian grabbed the landlady's slender hand, stared at her with burning eyes, raised his eyebrows and said, "It's okay to be studious, but you have to show a corresponding attitude towards learning first." The beautiful landlady was slightly startled. With curiosity in her beautiful eyes, she said. Then, what should I do? She doesn't quite understand what the so-called learning attitude is. Lower yourself and ask for advice humbly? But she and Shen Jian already have that kind of relationship, is this still necessary? If you say. Shen Jian smiled. He took out a white chef's outfit from his body. This was something he bought specially before coming to the horror world. Wearing this means you have a correct study attitude. The pretty boss lady blinked her beautiful eyes. This seems to be an ordinary chef's outfit. She picked it up and looked at it carefully for a moment, a blush quickly appeared on her face. The reason is simple. This cook's outfit has side leakage. Doesn't look serious at all. The meaning of existence is not so much the convenience of cooking, but rather a kind of fun. You know how to abuse people. The beautiful proprietress glanced at Shen Jian angrily. Turn around and enter the bedroom. Waited for a few minutes. Shen Jian also walked in. The next day, Shen Jian woke up. Looking at the sleeping person next to him, he was slightly startled. What does he do here and there in the villa? Oh! I remembered. He came to inquire about intelligence clues about the villa area of Piranha Villa. Shen Jian looked over. The proprietress of the Rebirth Villa, Yu Qianqian. Current status, happiness, shame, and regret for not learning cooking. Favorability, 108, love. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 217. What are you looking at? Seeing Shen Jian staring at her with burning eyes, the beautiful proprietress immediately retracted most of her exposed fair skin back into the quilt, revealing only a pair of big watery eyes. She couldn't have this man to herself. But even if you are looking for someone, you must be familiar with it. The first time the beautiful lady boss thought of her best friend, Lucien. She also had some guesses about the relationship between her good sister and Shen Jian. After all, during the feast of the afterlife, the two of them stood together, and everyone could see the intimacy between them. Since both parties are interested, it's better to bring a good sister like myself together. I just don't know how far the two of them have developed. I'll go and ask later. Otherwise, if she was trapped alone, she might not be able to cook for a few days. Unexpectedly, the beautiful landlady would have such a mental journey. Shen Jian pondered for a moment and asked, I want to know about the villa area after death. Upon hearing this, the beautiful boss lady also became serious. You want to deal with the property in the villa area? It's very troublesome there. After so many years of division, the other party has long since refused to admit that the villa area is the property of the villa area and has gone out independently. How was it divided in the first place? Shen Jian asked curiously. The beautiful proprietress recalled, if I remember correctly, it did not meet the standards. The person in charge of the approval of the city government issued a document saying that there was too much resentment, but at that time the villa area had already opened, and a large number of owners had already moved in. We want to rectify it, but the owners are unwilling. And all of these owners are wealthy owners, and they are not afraid of our warning at all. In this way, the two sides reached a stalemate. We had no choice but to let the people who were in charge of the project at the time continue to work there, hoping to convince the owners. Just like that, one day, suddenly, the villa district of the past life became independent and completely separated from the villa of the past life villa. The answer given by the city lord's palace is that we are no longer qualified to intervene. Let us have enough strength to come and deal with the matter. I suspect that the city lord's mansion is behind this, in order to occupy the villa area there. After listening to this, Shen Jian was thoughtful. The matter of the City Lord's Mansion and the Rebirth Villa area is actually related to the largest force in Nanjiang district. This is really... how wonderful! Shen Jian was shocked. He found the right one indeed. Behind each special dungeon, there is a background that is higher than the current dungeon level. As long as you dig deeper, you will definitely encounter ghosts that are far higher than the normal dungeon level. This is true for the Feast of the Past dungeon, and the same is true for the first 7 dungeons. The same is true for the copy of the Past Life Villa area. How to return the property of the past villa to its original owner. Shen Jian spoke. Since someone in the City Lord's Mansion covets the business of the villa area, as long as he takes back the villa area, the person behind it will inevitably appear. Eliminate the grievances there. It was for this reason that we were defeated. If we can eliminate the grievances there, we can refile the appeal and restore ownership. Okay, leave it to me. Shen Jian nodded. Once you know the cause and effect, the next thing will be simple. After eliminating grievances, he has a title, the resentful woman, the conqueror of grievances. I heard Aunt Lu say that your birthday will be in 4 days. At that time, I will come back with the complete rebirth villa to celebrate your birthday. Shen Jian leaned over. A kiss on seductive red lips. Then left here. The landlady with a pounding heart was left alone to reminisce. Birthday, huh? The face of the beauty proprietress turned crimson, and her red lips murmured unconsciously. I also hope that you will like the gift I prepared for you. And for this birthday gift, someone needs to be with her. Back to the real world. Shen Jian thought. After he has completely completed all the tasks in the villa of the past, it is time to prepare for the ghost town. This is an opportunity for the 18th level hell to usher in a great harvest. To do this, he needs to resolve all his thoughts in advance. Think of this. Shen Jian tore off the copy clearance coupon. Countdown, midnight. Welcome players back to the thriller game. It has been detected that the player triggered the final stage of the mission in the Villa of the Past, and the copy has been fixed. It is detected that the player is wearing the title of Dungeon Collapser, and the game becomes more difficult. A sufficient number of players have been detected. Loading. You have completed the match. Copy, Transformation Meter. Content. The Villa of the Past is also known as the concentration camp of grievances. It seems that an accident in the past caused the place to become unfortunate. In order to appease the owners here, some people hold regular activities. You are the exchange partners for this phase of the transformation plan. Number of players, 10 people. Main mission, survive in the exchanged family. Side mission. Friendly reminder, playing well is worse than choosing well. Difficulty, 3 stars. Ending with panel introduction. Open your eyes again. Shen Jian had already appeared at the door of a green community. Look up. You can see the name of the community, Pain Sheng. There is no doubt that this is the last missing piece of the puzzle in the Villa of the Past. By completing this, the Villa of the Past will become complete again. Not long after, the other 9 players also entered here. He also started observing his teammates around him immediately. There is an old saying that goes well, you are not afraid of meeting opponents who are like gods, but you are afraid of meeting teammates who are like pigs. In the dungeon, they were more or less cheated by their pig teammates. What entered was another extremely dangerous 3-star copy. If the performance of their teammates is not good, they would rather act alone. The first thing that was noticed was a man wearing a mask of hatred. The ID is and the level is as high as 39. Among all the players, they almost have the advantage of taking the lead. A perfect C position. The other players all showed their desire to make friends. The 3-star dungeon is the area with the largest player strength range. Players between level 20 and level 40 will enter it. Level 39, which has reached the ultimate level of a 3-star copy. One step further, it is a 4-star copy. If players of this level can cooperate together, that is undoubtedly a great teammate. Next, the eyes of all the players fell on Shen Jian, the second highest level player in the field. The level is level 34. Although not as dazzling as the previous one, he is undoubtedly a reliable teammate. Then, their eyes fell on the only female player. The ID is Tang Tang and the level is 25. There was a bit of surprise in their eyes. The higher the star rating of the horror game copy, the harder it is to see female players. Especially for Samsung Dungeons, the proportion of female players only accounts for less than 5% of all players. Among the 5%, those who are prettier than the female player in front of them are definitely not as good in figure as her, those who are better in figure than her are definitely not as good in appearance as her. In summary, this is an extremely rare female gamer. And she has a cool goddess style. At first glance, you can tell that he is not the kind of vase who relies on men, but that he has real abilities. In the crowd, Shen Jian was also slightly startled. Because this is an acquaintance. And I saw it in the first 7 copies just a few days ago. Great God. Tang Xian was also confused. The cold and aloof image he originally maintained was suddenly broken, his face showed extreme joy, and his eyes were even more fanatical and a little awe-inspiring. The other players who came in were stunned for a while. Good guy. Those who didn't know thought they were at a star-chasing scene. Originally, they were still thinking about how such a female player who took on the role of a cold goddess would perform. Unexpectedly, he turned into a licking dog. A goddess in the eyes of the poor, a licking dog in the eyes of the rich, right? The licker is not the highest level player in the field. At this time, Tang Xian obviously ignored the opinions of other players. She just felt like she was knocked unconscious by happiness. How lucky he is to be matched with Shen Jian again. Although they did not have the chance to see the end of the supernatural attack by the river goddess, the result was already obvious. Shen Jian won. His power cannot be described in words. She even doubted that Shen Jian's strength really came from controlling ghosts in horror games. What kind of supernatural puzzle has the power to crush the river goddess? Certainly. None of this matters. The important thing is that she is matched with Shen Jian again. Snort. So what if someone misunderstood me as a dog licker? If the great god is willing, she can lick him until he begs for mercy. Regarding Tang Xian's reaction, Shen Jian had no expression. He just happened to be like this by accident. Just then, a scarlet panel prompt appeared. Task tip: choose the one that suits you from 10 foster families. Note, this time, it mainly depends on vision. The game begins. Everyone was shocked. This time, the dungeon did not prepare their respective identities for them, but chose them themselves. If one were to choose a family with violent tendencies or a high level of terror, wouldn't they be killed in a matter of minutes? The players' hearts tightened. There was a sense of crisis and a sense of urgency in my heart. Although there are only 10 families, these 10 families are also different. Choose first and enjoy first, choose second and suffer later. Certainly. If you are unlucky, then you have chosen to go on with tears in your eyes. Not long after, members of 10 families participating in the Transfiguration program came out. Among them, most owners are normal. At least on the surface, nothing seems amiss. Everyone smiles and welcomes the humans who are about to come to their home. All the players shuddered. These smiles gave them the fear of jumping even though they knew they were facing an abyss. The players' eyes continued to spread among the 10 owners, trying to find the most normal family. Among them, there is one candidate that they obviously gave up. She was a very elegant middle-aged woman. She looks normal. Even from a human perspective, the other party can be called a beautiful lady. Logically speaking, such a fierce ghost should be the first choice target of all players. but the reality is that no one dares to choose. Because this beautiful lady stared at the players present, her eyes slowly turned red, and she even shed 2 tears of blood. He kept mumbling in his mouth. Speaking of sadness, there were traces of stitches on the arms and ankles of this noble woman. My son, if my son were alive, he must be this old. There is some mental illness. This is what all players say about this owner. He is a fierce ghost himself and has a slight mental illness. If the other party misses his son too much and sees the player living in his son's room, no one knows what will happen. But more than 90% of them will be torn apart by the opponent. There is no doubt about it. Who dares to choose such a family with a high mortality rate? Shen Jian glanced over. Qin Lu, the needlework ghost. Level, red level. Introduction: this is a poor mother. She lost her son. She was already heartbroken and was dismembered by her husband. In a rage she could only cry silently and mend her body in her heart. Her resentment caused her to contract a disease, and anyone of the same age who was not her son would be killed by her. Current status: resentment, resentment, resentment. Favorability, -30, hate. If it weren't for her son, he would be killed. Shen Jian tilted his head, as if he had thought of something. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 218. Shen Jian looked over. Among the 10 households, the owners of 7 are half-step red coat level. The other 3 households are real red-clad ghosts. In terms of quality, it is much higher than that of normal communities. After all, those who can settle in the Piranha Villa area, where every inch of land is at a premium, are basically those who are not short of money. The number 1 ingredient is considered an expensive luxury product in other places, but here, any family can afford it. It's normal to have this level of terror. But this is a pain for the players present. Their eyes were bulging out, and they couldn't find anyone who seemed easy to talk to. These owners are all smiling, welcoming the players who have exchanged with them, but those smiles are extremely scary in the eyes of the players. No one dared to pick first. They all stood there and hesitated. Master, which one should I choose? Tang Xian came over and asked for help. In the first 7 dungeons, she discovered that Shen Jian was a man of noble character, different from the other players present. She would also consider whether there were traps in other players' proposals, but she was willing to believe Shen Jian's words unconditionally. Unconditionally trusting someone is a taboo in a thriller game. If you are not careful, you will be deceived into losing your pants and become cannon fodder. Can you cook? Suddenly, Shen Jian asked. Tang Xian was stunned. He nodded and replied, my family is a family of chefs, and cooking is my specialty. Shen Jian's eyes were filled with surprise. Then let's take that glutton. Shen Jian pointed at one of the fat-headed and big-eared red-clad ghosts. These 10 owners all have their own family problems, and they all have family flaws that ordinary people don't know about. That's why they chose to participate in the metamorphosis program, hoping to make up for their regrets through other exchange children. Among them, the family problem of the needlework ghost is undoubtedly the biggest. Other families would hide it, but she had released her malice without any care. Once she was chosen, it would only be a matter of time before she was torn apart. As for the glutton that Shen Jian refers to, the problem is also huge. Under the analysis of the Eye of the Netherworld, this glutton ate his children and wife alive because of food problems. He regretted this. If he couldn't make a meal that satisfied him, he would kill someone. During this period, the glutton's patience will be exhausted little by little until he can't bear it anymore. Overall, although his terror level is the strongest among the 10 owners, his difficulty is the lowest. Okay, I'll choose this one. Tang Xian fully trusted Shen Jian's choice. Without much hesitation. He walked out of the team resolutely and stood next to the glutton. Saw this scene. The rest of the players were stunned. Is this seeking death? This fat-headed and big-eared ghost is obviously the most terrifying among all the ghosts. Its hill-like figure scares players from the beginning. A level 25 player actually had the courage to choose this fierce ghost. Are there any clues? All the players pondered. Shen Jian took a look. Lost interest. He also walked out directly. Standing next to the needlework ghost. Players. You two are not taking the usual path. Everyone was stunned. There were 3 red-clad ghosts on the field, and each of them took one away. The risk is greatly reduced. Living Bodhisattva. Foster family selected. The main mission has been started. Main mission, survive in a foster home for 3 days. Note, the player's vision is not very good. Shen Jian looked at the last sentence that sounded like a joke, and raised the corners of his mouth. He understands the horror game. This clearly means that he chose the most difficult one. But in Shen Jian's view, this needlework ghost is obviously the simplest one. Not long after, Shen Jian was taken to a villa. It is a 2-story duplex structure. The house number is number 9. Shen Jian saw it. According to the information provided by the landlady, only 30 villas have been built in the past life villa area, and they are named after the numbers 1 to 30. The higher the ranking, the more terrifying the owners are. Number 9 is already an above-average batch. Crunch. The door of the villa was opened. During this time, Qin Lu, the needlework ghost, didn't say a word. Just murmuring something in a low voice. Until the door is opened. When I saw the family photo hanging in the center of the living room, it was completely blurry and I couldn't tell who was who. I just knew it was a family photo of 4 people. Qin Lu, the needlework ghost, froze on the spot. Then the eyes began to slowly turn red again, and tears of blood welled up again. She slowly turned around and looked at Shen Jian. The ladylike face showed an expression full of hatred, and she shouted in a sharp and spiteful voice, "It's so similar, you look so much like my son. If my son was still alive, he should be as big and handsome now. Why can you live even if my son dies?" said. The expression of needlework ghost Qin Lu became more and more distorted. She approached Shen Jian step by step. The exposed needlework marks on her arms and ankles were menacing and oozing, as if the whole ghost would fall apart in the next second. Ordinary people would have been frightened when they saw this scene. Run away from here like crazy. However, Shen Jian was different. He also walked towards the needlework ghost. Needlework ghost? She was stunned. This human doesn't seem to be afraid of her. She has participated in 3 episodes of the Metamorphosis program, and every time she thought about restraint, but every time she saw her son's family photo and saw children of the same age, she felt a pang in her heart. The more he comes into contact with his son's things during his lifetime, the more difficult it is to control this resentment. Until he was completely controlled by resentment, tearing everything in front of him to pieces. This time, resentment broke out more frequently. Maybe she believed from the bottom of her heart that if her son were as old as Shen Jian, he would be so handsome and charming. The strong sense of substitution made her lose control directly. As for why this human seemed not afraid of her, she no longer cared. She would not allow such a human being who perfectly fit the image of her son to live. The needlework ghost had a twisted smile on his face and slowly stretched out his hand. Just then, Shen Jian had already taken the lead and hugged her tightly. He said astonishingly, "Mom." Needlework ghost Qin Lu? Whose mother do you call? How old are you, and you still recognize your mother randomly? Her expression froze slightly. It seems that Shen Jian did not expect this. It made her a little confused. But the sound of mom did awaken a lot of reason in her. There was some tenderness on her face. but he will react soon. This is not her son. Human, you are seeking death. The needlework ghost was furious. This human was making fun of her. She is a mother who has lost her son. How can she still have a son? This mom undoubtedly rubbed salt into her wounds. Mom, it's me, I'm your son, I'm back. Shen Jian said. The hypnotic supernatural power of the ghost heart has exploded. As Shen Jian spoke, terrifying supernatural fluctuations filled the living room. The needlework ghost's palms changed from pinching to caressing. A picture of a pitiful mother replaced the twisted and ferocious image before, and his eyes stared at Shen Jian in silence and incredulity. Son, are you really my son? The needlework ghost kept mumbling to himself. Shen Jian said nothing. Just hug her tightly. Mom, I'm back. This affectionate hug, this long overdue words. It can be said that he is more like a son than a son. The needlework ghost was in a trance for a moment. The inner impression of his son has completely transformed into Shen Jian. Next moment, she hugged Shen Jian, her face filled with joy of reunion. Son, you are finally back. Mom misses you so much. Shen Jian was hugged. A bit of surprise flashed through my heart. The supernatural effects of ghost hearts shouldn't take effect so quickly. This fierce ghost is hypnotizing itself. Only in this way can the effect of replacing the son be completed in a short time. But the result is good. According to the proprietress, the reason why the property has not been returned to its original owner is because the resentment in the community is too strong. To solve these problems, he needs an owner who is familiar with the property. And the one Shen Jian chose was Qin Lu, the needlework ghost. Her inner defenses are the weakest and she is the easiest target to be hypnotized. He is also the owner who is easiest to like. As for having a godmother and adoptive mother, that's not a big deal at all. After all, he already has his father-in-law, mother-in-law, and aunt. It would be normal for him to have a foster mother. Shen Jian's eyes moved. Qin Lu, the needlework ghost. Current status, happy, kind, motherly. Favorability, 60, warm. Shen Jian frowned. Only 60 points of good feelings. Although 60 points of favorability is not too low, and has exceeded the normal clearance requirements of the Samsung role-playing streaming mode, in Shen Jian's opinion, it is still not high enough. There has to be at least 80 points to really consolidate the relationship between mother and son, and also to heat up the relationship. Come, son, sit down quickly and tell your mother what you have experienced these years. Qin Lu, the needlework ghost, asked Shen Jian to sit down. Shen Jian was stunned. After thinking about it, this is an opportunity to gain favor and gain sympathy. So Shen Jian sat down next to his adoptive mother. I was thinking about something in my heart. This fierce ghost is a poor mother who lost her child and was later dismembered by her husband in a rage. You can imagine the resentment in her heart. I'm afraid no one can empathize with the psychological and physical pain she endured. Saying nice things can only maintain good feelings. Think about it. Shen Jian held the needlework ghost's hand with a concerned look on his face, and tearfully recounted his experience of wandering outside. Why do you sleep on the road in thin clothes when it's freezing cold? Why was he rummaging through the trash cans looking for food and being bullied by wild dogs? How could I find half a piece of cornbread only to be snatched away by other wandering children? As miserable as it is. These tragic experiences made Shen Jian secretly speechless. The needlework ghost Qin Lu's eyes turned red when she heard this, feeling pain and anger. The yin qi in her body surged and overflowed from time to time. Obviously, the mother was very emotionally unstable at this time. There is a kind of madness with red eyes. Finally, Shen Jian didn't wait for any more editing. The needlework ghost was already choking and hugging Shen Jian. Son, Mom is sorry for making you suffer. Shen Jian couldn't breathe. He glanced away. The young foster mother's favor continued to grow. From the beginning to the end of 60 points, a total of 15 points rose. This abnormal speed of increase in goodwill all shows how much she owes her son. Favorability, 75, kindness. Not long after, the needlework ghost Qin Lu's mood gradually stabilized. Shen Jian focused on her arms. There are traces of sewing and mending everywhere on the flawless white arms. It looked like the husband had cut the skin bit by bit with a knife, and he also used something like a ghost weapon. Otherwise, for the red-clad fierce ghost, these injuries are completely recoverable. Only dismemberment using ghost weapons can cause such scars. Son, don't look, Mom is ugly now. The needlework ghost also noticed Shen Jian's gaze, retracted his arm, dodges his eyes, and desperately pulled his clothes down, hoping to cover these ugly marks. He was even more unwilling to show his ugliest side to his son who had just reunited. Shen Jian said seriously, Mom, I can help you recover. Really? The needlework ghost heard this. There was a trace of disbelief on his face. Because of the repaired scars on her body, she has not appeared in front of others for a long time, and she will only stay at the scene of the transformation plan for a short time. Of course, my supernatural powers can help you get back to your original state. Shen Jian smiled. Under the illumination of the incandescent lamp, the shadow behind him stretched very long. Spreading like a shadow. A shadow stood up from behind him, and countless black ink poured into the needlework ghost's body. Repair these patched injuries one by one. Soon, the needles and threads began to fall off. A flawless face, a pair of arms as white as jade, and a pair of small and exquisite ankles were displayed in front of Shen Jian. Without such unconventional things as needles and threads, the image of a mature and beautiful young woman from a wealthy family appeared on the paper. She touched her face, swept her arms, touched her ankles, and choked up again. The look he looked at Shen Jian had completely changed. Shen Jian's expression changed. Qin Lu, the needlework ghost. Favorability, 83, doting. Shen Jian was thoughtful. If it's just family love, what will it become when it reaches 100 points? Time flies. The reunited mother and son seemed to have endless things to say. Son, wait a minute. Mom is going to prepare dinner. Shen Jian nodded. Mom, is there anything dangerous here? The needlework ghost was stunned. Speaking of danger, there are indeed many places here that are dangerous, especially Villa number 8 next door. Don't go there. The door there is open, luring others to go there. The smile on Shen Jian's face became even brighter. He loves danger most of all. The more dangerous it is, the higher the horror level of the ghost is, and the more excited he is. He didn't forget. His main goal is to come here to suppress the grievances here. This villa number 8 is full of resentment. Mom, I'm going out for a while. Shen Jian shouted. Come back quickly. The needlework ghost's voice gradually faded away. Shen Jian had already walked out of the villa. The main task of this copy is to survive for 3 days. He has now dealt with the needlework ghost, and after excluding the lost son, there will only be another child and the needlework ghost's husband. Especially this husband, he is a ruthless character. Ghost Heart's hypnotic powers may not be effective on him. Thoughtful. Shen Jian was already walking on the trail. Master, you're out. Tang Xian's voice sounded at the right time. How are you doing there? Shen Jian said calmly. Very good. He didn't show any disgust after eating the food I cooked. If this continues, it will be easy for him to last 3 days. Tang Xian looked at Shen Jian gratefully. This is simply the easiest 3-star dungeon she has ever experienced. She only needs to cook for the glutton for 3 days and can easily pass the level. Even the 2-star copy has never been so simple. All this is thanks to Shenjian. Master, where are you going now? Arrive. Shenjian spoke. The footsteps stopped at villa number 8 with the door open. See this. Tang Xian was also stunned. In this villa number 8, the gluttonous ghost also warned me not to enter it, otherwise even a red-clothed level ghost will be confused in it and cannot find the way out. Oh? Do you have any explanation? Shenjian asked. Tang Xian explained, the glutton didn't tell me much. He only said that because of a fire that year, a group of children who were hiding in the villa playing hide and seek were burned to death. It is said that it caused a sensation and caused the entire community to be destroyed. The owner got into a big fight, and then it just went away without knowing what happened. All the parents of those children have moved out of here. The owners who know the situation are also deeply taboo and do not want to say more. After that, strange things happened frequently. Villa number 8 seems to be alive. The door is wide open, and it seems to welcome other children to come in and play hide and seek together. And some parents of children who accidentally entered never came out again. Since then, villa number 8 has been idle and has become a taboo. Listen. Shenjian's smile became even brighter. Sure enough, he was right. There is a lot of resentment here, and he, the golden mediator, is needed to channel this resentment. I just don't know if this is the point of resentment that the landlady mentioned. Hey, master, what are you doing? Go in and save these confused people. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 219. Villa number 8. Perhaps because no one took care of it, the place was overgrown with weeds and the ground was pitch black, telling the story of the fire that year. There was burnt blackness everywhere. But the strange thing is that after stepping into the door of villa number 8, everything here changed. Shade growth. The building is in good condition. Some common entertainment equipment in parks have also been moved back here. It's like a children's paradise. Tang Xian's eyes widened and she looked at the scene in disbelief. Is this a ghost realm? She finally understood why the evil ghosts who accidentally broke into this place couldn't get out. It turned out that the entire villa number 8 was covered in a layer of ghost realm. As long as she stepped into the door, it was equivalent to actively entering the ghost realm. Unless the source ghost is willing to let people go, no one can find the right path in the ghost realm. Shenjian's face was expressionless. It's just that the smile inside is getting stronger. A special existence that can cast ghost realm and confuse the red-clothed ghosts. Shenjian pushed open the door and entered. A magnificently decorated 4-meter living room comes into view. And on the living room table, there is a picture album on display. The ink is still wet, and it appears to have just been painted. Shenjian opened it. There are several paintings in the album. They are all made up of simple lines, sort of like stick figures. Tisk, the painting is really ugly. Even if my dog comes and poops on it twice, it's better than this. Shenjian clicked his tongue. He hated the Riddler-like prompts the most. It's basically no different from guessing. Tang Xian, on the other hand, was analyzing it carefully. Cracking the ghost's killing patterns and finding vitality in the killing patterns is the way for players to survive. As a Samsung player, she is naturally familiar with this aspect. Look, Master, there are names written on the backs of these paintings, which correspond to the stick figures on the front. Tang Xian made a discovery. Said in surprise. I remember Greedy Ghost said that there was an old couple living in villa number 8 back then. This old couple was very popular. Many children liked to come here to play. The two matches in the first painting, when you open it, it corresponds to the two of them. Finished. A sound suddenly came from the villa. Kids, stop playing, it's time to take a break. This voice appeared out of thin air, old and hoarse. Children, the cake will get cold if you don't come out later. Another voice sounded, the same hoarse voice, as if it hadn't spoken for decades. Tang Xian's scalp exploded. At some point, two ghosts appeared outside the house. She looked at the album in her hand in disbelief. Could it be that she flipped through the picture album and that led to the appearance of the two ghosts? Tang Xian secretly regretted it. This is not a clue to cracking the murderous pattern of the ghost, but a trap. Opening the album means the supernatural event has officially begun. See this. Tang Xian closed the album. Shen Jian held her down, the smile on his face undisguised, continued to finish reading. He didn't want to waste time. Since this picture album could lead to the ghosts who were burned to death, he simply led them all out in one go and solved them all at once. Tang Xian continued to flip through the pages. His face was stern. She saw that this picture album was not thin. Once she flipped through it, the number of ghosts that ran out would probably be no less than 7 or 8. Open the second copy. It's a stick figure that looks like a little boy. Sitting in the house, pulling the hair of a little girl. Open it again. It was the little boy hiding in the corner, snickering, ready to scare the passing children. The next picture. It seems that the stick figure who looks like a little boy is the main visual, recording in detail the whole process of his mischief and scaring his friends. Opening 13 copies in a row, they all show the same picture. It's all a process of scaring people. After the two of them read it, there were many cries in the villa. A little girl had her hair pulled out and hid in her room crying. Some seemed to be frightened and screamed sharply. Someone was locked in the room and kept shouting, but no one responded. Tang Xian became more and more horrified. This house suddenly had several evil ghosts. Although they were all in their own rooms, the permeating sounds were continuous. Starting from the 14th deputy, the main perspective changes. The little boy seemed to be an isolated one, and a large group of stick figure children gathered together, discussing something. The leader was the little girl whose hair was pulled off by the little boy at the beginning. The next picture. It became a game of hide and seek. The little boy is responsible for the search. The rest hid. Hidden in different places. In the cupboard, behind the curtains, among the flowers. Several paintings in a row show the little boy searching to no avail. In anger, he set fire to the quilt in the room. And then, it was the little boy whose head was missing. Several pairs were missing in the middle, and it was impossible to know who had done it. At last, it was a fire that destroyed everything. I have finished reading a thick picture album. There was a clear sound of footsteps upstairs, and a little boy shouted sharply and sinisterly. He, are you all hiding? Ghosts are here to catch us. At this time, Tang Xian suddenly discovered. I just flipped through the picture album, and there were 2 more paintings at the back. Shen Jian looked over. What is described in the painting is the figures of Shen Jian and Tang Xian. What is presented is a variety of predictions. Hidden in the toilet and killed by the stick man hiding in the bathroom. Hiding in the room, he was killed by the stick man that emerged from the cabinet in the room. Hiding outside, he was killed by an old couple wandering outside the villa. All kinds of predictions are poignant and piercing. According to the meaning of the painting, there are 2 ghosts outside and we cannot go out. We should find other places to hide. Shen Jian said seriously. He walked to the door of the villa and closed the door. Tang Xian? She was stunned for a moment. Are you serious? Indeed, there are 2 evil ghosts wandering outside, but why the hell aren't there more evil ghosts in the villa? Was it because he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to feed the evil spirits enough, so he locked the door and cut off his escape route? She didn't understand Shen Jian's brain circuit. But the body still followed up honestly. Hide in the utility room on the 1st floor. There were footsteps on the stairwell. A fierce ghost is coming downstairs. Ghosts are coming to arrest us. Have you hidden yourself? The little boy responsible for the arrest seemed to be very scary. As soon as he made a sound, all other sounds in the room stopped and seemed to be hiding. Shen Jian came to the grocery room. The utility room was full of lost toys. Other than that, there is only a wardrobe to hide people. Shen Jian pushed open the wardrobe. A pale grimace stared directly at the two of them. This is a little girl with a twisted body. Her head seems to have been crushed by the weight of the beam. The shape is a bit flat and there are some cracks. It looks very scary. Saw two people. She grinned and said with a hoarse voice, "I'm sorry, uncle and aunt, there are already people here." In the living room. There was also the sound of the little boy getting closer and closer. "I see you, don't hide, I will catch you right away. There is a wolf in front and a tiger behind. This is a doomed situation." Shen Jian's expression gradually became anxious, and he threw himself into the narrow closet, cursing, "What time has it been? Let's just squeeze in together, otherwise if I am caught, I will definitely be the first one report you." At the same time, he did not forget to greet Tang Xian, "Come in quickly. In order to survive, we have to sacrifice this little girl." "Little girl? First of all, I didn't mess with any of you." At this time, the little girl was pressed behind Shen Jian. The whole face is flatter. She stared with an unimaginable look on her face. "God can only sacrifice me. Why don't you sacrifice yourself?" Tang Xian was stunned for a moment. In confusion, Shen Jian was also pulled into the closet. This is an old-fashioned small wardrobe. Hiding an adult can only be done with difficulty. After stuffing two in, there is no room left around. The little girl was pressed under the closet, her face distorted. What made her even more uncomfortable was the power of this human being is extremely great. She couldn't get out at all. Can only be forced to suppress. The little young girl bears a weight that does not belong to her. My face has started to turn purple. It became difficult to breathe. Your mother, you are the one who rides the horse." At this time, Shen Jian also comforted, "Don't worry, as long as you don't say anything, we are all safe. Little girl. Look at my face, does it look like I can make a sound? And you are so damn safe. My head is about to split. How come this bitch is so strong?" Every time the little girl struggled, she would be pushed back by Shen Jian's hand. Tang Xian saw everything. He whispered, "Master, I think it would be easier for us to kill directly." Shen Jian thought for a while and explained, "I have a mission, which is to resolve the grievances here. If these evil ghosts are not allowed to vent their grievances, the resolution will not be complete enough, the redemption will not be complete, and the completion of the mission will not be perfect." State. After listening, Tang Xian understood. Hidden tasks. The master is indeed a master, and he casually accepted a hidden mission. And keep improving. Strive for perfection. If it were her, she would never accept the hidden mission. If you accept it, it only requires speed, not perfection. A master like a master only starts to consider perfection when he is absolutely sure of his own strength. The other side. Listen to the conversation between the two. The little girl tried several times. Gave up resistance. "I almost cried on the spot. You two dog humans, look at me, look at me. I'm going to be crushed to death by you. I have finished venting my grievances. You can redeem me." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 220. I'm here to arrest someone. Whoever is caught will become a ghost. A cold and joking voice entered the grocery room. While listening to the sound, Shenji uncovered the little girl's mouth to prevent her from making any sound. Even the cries turned into whines, confined to the closet. The little girl is sad and angry. This human is a real dog. If it fell into his hands, he would be unlucky for 8 lifetimes. She would rather be found by someone outside than continue to bear weight here that does not belong to her size. Da-da-da. The footsteps outside walked around in a circle, but seemed to find nothing, and slowly faded away. Shenjian's eyes narrowed slightly. Next moment, a gust of wind came. The closet was opened without warning. A little boy with his face covered in blood was standing outside the closet with a sinister smile on his face. When others think that the ghost has left and just feel relaxed, they suddenly push the cabinet door open. If you have a weak heart, you may be frightened. Can appear in front of a little boy. It is a big hand that is gradually enlarging. Shenjian came out, pinched the little boy's neck with his big hands, and laughed sinisterly. I can't help it. You found my uncle. Now, it's my turn to be a ghost. Finished. Shenjian threw the little boy out. Run quickly. If you run too slowly, uncle will tell you that you won't even be able to become a ghost. Little boy. Damn it. The idea is prickly. He's a big daddy. The little boy was surprised. Judging from the strength of this human being just now, he knew that he was no match at all. Without hesitation, he turned and ran. Shenjian's eyes showed a bit of disappointment. This is not the source ghost. Too bad. At best, it's only half a step forward in red clothes. Otherwise, under the cover of the ghost realm, he would never be able to catch the little boy so easily. Thinking. Shenjian slowly cast his gaze on the little girl in the closet. He came into contact with Shenjian's malicious eyes. The girl couldn't help but tremble. Haha, I caught another kid. Shenjian stretched out his big hand. No, no, weren't we hiding together just now? We are in the same group. The girl has a strong desire to survive and starts to play the emotional card. Shenjian said with regret, just now is now, I have become a man who catches people, and I am no longer on the same side as you, so, little sister, you have been eliminated. Said. Shenjian took out the morning stick. One stick down. Stuff the girl into the sack. The overall movement is extremely smooth. It's like rehearsing it countless times. Tang xin. She looked at all this with dumbfounded eyes. The image of a ghost dealer took root in her heart. But soon, the professionalism of being a Samsung player made her sober up quickly. Somewhat confused, Master, why did you let the other one go? Shenjian said casually, can't you see? That painting has already shown that the little boy is not the source ghost, but the beginning of the supernatural in Villa number 8. If you catch him, the source ghost will wake up. Isn't this bad? Tang xin was confused. The most troublesome thing about being trapped in a ghost realm is that you can't find any trace of the source ghost, and you can only be played like a monkey. If the source ghost revives, the other ghosts in the ghost domain will be gone. Shenjian didn't say much. No matter how small a persimmon is, it is still meat. He is too lazy to catch the white-clothed level, but he is still interested in the green-clothed level and the half-step red-clothed level. Stop talking, there are still many children waiting for me here. Say it. Shenjian walked out of the grocery room with a morning stick in one hand and a soul-binding bag in the other, looking excited to buy some goods. At the same time, he said in a cold tone, he, the ghost is here to arrest people. If I catch you, I will have to work as a child laborer for the rest of my life. Group of ghosts. So vicious. It is illegal to employ child labor. Following Shenjian's words, the other hiding ghosts panicked. There seems to be a ruthless character coming to this villa. People catch ghosts, ghosts come to hide, and seek, there is no place to hide, if you are caught, ghosts come to worry. Tang Xin. Listen outside. Shen Jian hummed some unknown lyrics. Her face became extremely wonderful. She had discovered in the first 7 dungeons that the great god seemed to have an indescribable evil taste towards Li Gui, and liked to play tricks on Li Gui in the areas where Li Gui was good at. But don't know why. She always felt that great gods seemed to be more skilled at scaring people than ghosts. Already better than the blue and better than the blue. She couldn't help but chase after him. Then he saw Shen Jian passing through one room after another, shouting words that made the ghosts feel frightened and their hearts racing. I caught you, I was hiding, it turns out you are here, guess which direction I am from you. While talking. At the same time, he raised the morning stick and smashed it down. The ghost screams began to echo in the villa. Tang Xin shivered. She took on the evil ghost's perspective for a bit. I suddenly felt creepy. That oppressive feeling of approaching death step by step, not to mention people, even ghosts panic. She couldn't help but think of the hidden mission Shen Jian said. Is this really how to resolve Li Gui's resentment? Why does she think this is creating resentment for Li Gui? Thinking. Shen Jian was getting more and more excited. Thanks to the picture album on the table. He knew all the hiding places of the evil spirits, and even skipped the process of searching for them. One catch at a time. Inadvertently, he looked up and saw the confusion in Tang Xian's eyes. After thinking for a while, he suggested, Xiao Tang, you have to know that any creature will feel pain, fear, or have weaknesses exposed when it is attacked, but a ghost will not feel this way. Finished. Shen Jian hit a shivering ghost hiding among the flowers with a stick. Ah! Screams were heard everywhere. You are so dishonest, aren't you? You want to run away even after I found you? Do you look down on me? Shen Jian cursed. The morning stick was struck continuously. Li Gui, any creature will feel pity, sympathy, or stop attacking when attacking, but this damn human will not. He has no heart. Ah! Tang Xian. She looked stunned. I understood what Shen Jian meant, telling lies with open eyes. Kid, your hide and seek skills are too bad. Do you want to hide in the fish tank and be a carefree fish? My uncle will satisfy you and give you a 7-second amnesia package. At last. When the last ghost who was hiding in the fish tank and blowing bubbles was stuffed into a sack by Shen Jian, the whole noisy villa suddenly became quiet. Dead silence. Tang Xinggong wanted to say something. The sound of footsteps came again from the corridor on the 2nd floor, and accompanied by a particularly cold atmosphere, the little boy from before appeared at the top of the stairs. Yu said, Uncle, I was caught by you, it's my turn to be a ghost. Hear this. Shen Jian suddenly became unhappy, I haven't done enough for this ghost yet, is it your turn? Haha, Uncle, if you break the rules here, she will wake up. Once she wakes up, all your efforts will be in vain. The little boy's face became increasingly grim. He seemed to have something to rely on and was very tough. Ask Shen Jian to abide by the rules here. In his opinion, Shen Jian took advantage of the rules of hide and seek and caught all the friends here effortlessly. As long as it's his turn to be a ghost again, Shen Jian can't touch him. After all, it's a hide and seek rule. People can only hide from ghosts. Only ghosts can catch people. Those who are caught cannot take action against the ghost. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows, showing a bit of surprise, it doesn't look very smart. I didn't expect to take advantage of the rules. Little boy. You are not humming polite. See this. The little boy let out his signature sinister smile again, now that I am a ghost, Uncle, you have to hide yourself. If I find you, you will be dead. Looking for your mother. Shen's figure flashed, and he stretched out a big hand like a cattail leaf fan and grabbed the little boy's neck again. Little boy. You really can't afford it? The sinister smile on the little boy's face froze a little bit. He didn't seem to have thought that Shen Jian would really dare to ignore the rules here and attack him forcefully. Did this human think he was scaring him? Sudden. Boom. 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 An unusually dull knocking sound came from somewhere in the villa. Come here, you broke the rules here, that crazy girl is going to wake up, and she will kill us all. The little boy covered his head, as if he was afraid of something. He kept muttering in his mouth, don't drop it, don't drop it. I will never dare to prank you again. I will never pull your hair again. Don't chop my head off. The little boy screamed in fear and shrilly. Tang Xin also felt a little scared inside. This is a powerful ghost with a ghost realm. It can trap even the red shirt level, and the opponent's terror level is definitely above the red shirt level. Shen Jian looked excited. After grabbing the side dishes, it was finally the turn of the main course. Shen Jian grabbed the struggling little boy and strode forward. He walked all the way up to the second floor, passed through a corridor, and came outside a locked room. Shen Jian violently opened the door. Inside the room. Nothing. There is only a wooden box. The sound came from the box. No wonder it seems dull. Shen Jian looked over. There were 2 adult-style hammers on the ground, as well as several bloody nails. The box was completely nailed shut with these iron nails. Now, the box was shaking constantly, as if a fierce ghost was beating inside. From time to time, one of the nails on it would fall off, and now there was only one nail left supporting it, which was precarious. It seemed like it would break out at any moment. Are the boxes nailed to prevent something inside from escaping? Or is it that a ghost once stuffed a living ghost into the box, then nailed it to the box, leaving it in agony in a small space and never seeing the light of day? Shen Jian murmured to himself. Tang Xin felt her heart tremble as she listened. Originally, she had seen this kind of supernatural situation too much and was already physiologically immune, but after Shen Jian's analysis, the atmosphere suddenly increased. She couldn't help but start to feel silent in this kind of terror. She looked at Shen Jian with great resentment. You are not a ghost bender. You are the devil. Have a first-class mentality. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 221. Come out, come out. Tang Xin was very uneasy. The evil spirit of this evil ghost was so terrifying, far beyond all the evil ghosts she had ever seen. It was almost on the same level as the lame village chief. This is a top-notch red-clad fierce ghost. Although she guessed that the master's hidden mission would be difficult, she did not expect that when she first entered the dungeon, she would encounter a top-notch red-clothed creature. What kind of luck is this? Shen Jian's face was expressionless. It was discovered that as the nails fell, the box suddenly became quiet with only one nail left nailed to the side. Then, above the box, a gap opened. In the darkness, a pale ghost hand was faintly revealed, as well as a small part of a twisted, blood-stained face. It's you. A shrill girl's voice sounded, filled with resentment. You lied to me. Why did you lie to me? Why should I do this? Am I not a warrior who protects everyone? It's so stuffy and dark here. I'm also going to stuff you in so that no one can find you. Hey hey hey. Amidst the resentment, the girl's voice was also mixed with a trace of laughter, which was extremely weird and permeable. No, I didn't harm you. You killed me a long time ago. Being carried by Shen Jian, the little boy screamed in terror. Obviously, he had an unusual fear of the girl in front of him. The previous gloominess and the infiltration of the hide-and-seek had all disappeared at this moment, leaving only the emotion of fear. Hey, There are only you and me here. If you didn't kill me, who else could be there? The little girl's voice became even more resentful. The box has been opened at an angle of 30 degrees. The sinister laughter grew louder. It seemed that as soon as the box was completely opened, the evil ghost would rush out and tear everyone in the room into pieces. Shen Jian on the side raised his eyebrows and nodded in agreement. Yes, logically speaking, this kid is right. There are only 4 of us in this room. This kid is a victim, and you are also a victim. The perpetrators are naturally us. It can be concluded from this that we are the perpetrators. Little boy. Tang Xin? She was stunned on the side. This fierce ghost obviously hasn't triggered the killing pattern yet, so she admits it like this. She can't fight with us? At this time. Shen Jian laughed again. The smile looked so scary and gloomy. My mistake should have been nailed deeper in the first place, otherwise you wouldn't have escaped. Xiao Tang, you go and watch the door, and I'll stuff her back into the box. As soon as anyone comes, let me know. What happened here must not be let anyone know that we did it. After listening, Tang Xin's body trembled suddenly. Shen Jian's behavior at this moment was like an experienced perverted murderer, which gave people a creepy feeling. Great God, what kind of side jobs are there that are unknown in the real world? And Shen Jian finished speaking. He had already taken out rows of peachwood nails from his body. This is the nail that completely nails the ghost bride into the coffin in the Yinwen dungeon, possessing the power to suppress the evil ghosts. It's different from the ordinary nails scattered in the ground in front of you. Once nailed, even the red-clothed ghost cannot escape. Then, Shen Jian pressed the peachwood nails on the edge of the box and fixed it to the box. At the same time, he did not forget to remind, let go. Little girl. She was confused for a moment. I didn't expect that this human being would admit it so simply and neatly. She finally came up with 100 scary words, but they all had no effect. She would not accept this kind of grievance. He, since it was you who killed me, then come in and feel the same pain as me. Not only did the little girl not shrink back, she even smiled sinisterly and stretched out her pale hand, as if she wanted to drag Shen Jian into the box and let him taste what it felt like to be stuffed here. Shen Jian's face was expressionless. He raised the morning stick and smashed it. Ah! She let out a scream. It hurts, I feel so much pain. The little girl roared viciously. There was a bit of confusion in his tone. She was in the ghost realm and she was a top red-clad ghost. Why would a human stick weapon cause her so much pain? That kind of pain goes deep into the bone marrow. It was 10 times more painful than being nailed to a box with flesh and blood. I told you to let go, but you refused to listen. Now you must be at a disadvantage. Shen Jian said seriously. Little girl. It's not you who caused me to suffer. If you had any conscience, you shouldn't be so cruel to a fierce ghost who can't move freely. Her face darkened. Shen Jian had already continued, little sister, now you know the consequences of not listening to adults. I will say it again, retract your hand and let me nail the box so that you won't run out in the future. Ho ho ho, since uncle likes it so much, let's swap places. The little girl laughed strangely. A cold aura instantly enveloped the entire room. Everything around the room seemed to be changing. Tang Xin's expression changed drastically. It's a ghost land. This fierce ghost finally used its strongest ghost domain. Within the ghost realm, anything is possible. Even if a 5 or 6-year-old girl would have to break her whole body to put this box in, an adult would be able to be stuffed in without any hindrance under the ghost realm replacement. This is the scary thing about the ghost realm. Ignore reality. And what this fierce ghost is doing now is to replace Shen Jian. Hey, uncle, he was stuffed into the box. The little girl's sinister laughter stopped abruptly. Because she discovered that the human being who was supposed to be in the box was still staring at her condescendingly. "Little girl?" She stayed for a moment. "Is your ghost domain invalid?" She had obviously stuffed this human being into the box. Why didn't it work? Shen Jian shook his head with some regret. "Let's play, let's make trouble, but it's too vicious to say that I want to stuff my uncle into the box. If you dare to have such thoughts today, you will dare to have more such thoughts tomorrow. I can't keep you here, you need to reform yourself." Shen Jian raised the morning stick. The little girl saw this. His face stiffened. A hint of horror was revealed. "No, don't. Ah. Da. Just when Shen Jian tried his best to correct the little girl's thinking, the door to the villa was opened. A Dawson's angry voice echoed through the room. "Kids, stop playing, the cake is cold. Let's play after having afternoon tea. If we hide and don't show up, Grandpa will be angry." The voices of the old couple kept getting closer. Push open the innermost locked room. Only the little girl was seen lying on the box dying. Blue nose and swollen face. There were obvious signs of being beaten on many parts of the body, and some of the flesh and blood had been nailed to the box and had become integrated with the box. Saw an old couple. There was obviously some fear in the little girl's eyes. They seemed to be afraid of the old couple in front of them. Especially now that she was being tortured so cruelly that she no longer had any strength to resist. She could only watch as the old couple walked up to her. "You little kid, why did you sneak out again? Go back quickly." The old couple saw this. He immediately shouted loudly. It seemed that there was no surprise that a little girl was crucified in a box. Instead, he was scolding the little girl for being ignorant. At this time, the old couple noticed that the little girl was staring at them closely and her mouth was opening and closing weakly, as if she was saying something. "What do you want to say?" The old couple put their heads together. Finally heard what the little girl said. After. Later. The old couple were stunned for a moment. A sudden awakening. The little girl was not staring at them, but behind them. "There's something dirty behind you." As soon as the idea came up, both of them lost their souls. They all turned around. However, it's too late. Behind them, a figure appeared at some point. A faint voice whispered behind their ears. "I didn't expect that you would see the murder scene, and you would die too." Old couple? What? Thoughts are not finished yet. Shen Jian had already knocked out 2 sticks in a row. Knocked 2 Xingyi level ghosts unconscious. In the eyes of the little girl, the only remaining hope was shattered. Next moment, the surrounding scene began to regress rapidly. The magnificently decorated villa suddenly turned into a scene of ruins. Tang Xian looked at all this with surprise. She could not tell the difference between these 2 completely different scenes. One can imagine how terrifying the ghost realm is. She asked. She was accidentally trapped in a ghost realm and she absolutely did not have the ability to get out. Either he was killed by the little boy who caught someone in the villa, or he was killed by the hiding kid when he was hiding somewhere. Even if she came to the little girl by accident, there was no way for her to survive. Because at the end there was an old couple as the finale. Watching Shen Jian skillfully stuff the little girl into the sack, Tang Xian asked her doubts. "Master, is this little girl really the source ghost? Why is she afraid of this old couple?" According to the information she learned along the way, she basically sorted out what happened in Villa number 8. The protagonists of the story are undoubtedly the little boy who made the arrest, and the little girl whose hair was pulled as a prank by the boy. The little boy played too many pranks and was hated by all his friends. For this reason, everyone deliberately avoided the little boy during the hide-and-seek competition. The little boy was angry and set a fire in the room. Then when he went somewhere to continue looking for someone, he was beheaded by a little girl. The little girl who thought she had protected everyone went back to claim credit, but the other friends isolated her as a monster and stuffed her into a box. But they didn't notice that the fire set by the little boy eventually burned everyone to death. This is what happened in Villa 8. But what she didn't understand was why a source ghost with a ghost domain, a top-notch red-clothed fierce ghost, would show fear towards an old couple in green-clad level. This doesn't make sense at all. The old couple must have played some role in it, rather than a simple victim. Shen Jian glanced at her. Does it matter? Tang Xian was stunned. Then react. She is a professional player, and she must find out Li Gui's past. In the past, this was done to gain insight into the killing patterns of ghosts and to survive better. But now, Shen Jian has already captured all the ghosts in Villa number 8, and it is indeed no longer important to delve into this kind of thing. Everything in Villa number 8 had been destroyed in the fire that year. Now, will cease to exist. Master, it's time for me to go back and cook for the glutton. Today I watched all your actions in person, and I have a new understanding. Tang Xian glanced at the time and said goodbye in a hurry. Shen Jian? I catch ghosts, can you understand? Good. Another good seedling. Shen Jian smiled and said, you can teach me a child. Look well and study hard. You will have my share of my position in the future. Not long after, Shen Jian returned to Villa number 9. Open the door. He was stunned for a moment. Because there was a burly man standing in the entrance hall when the door was opened. There was also a corpse dragged in his hand. His body was covered in blood, his limbs were twisted, and his chest was sunken. It looked like he was already dead. And he was tortured before he died. The reason that made Shen Jian stunned for a moment was naturally that he knew this corpse is one of the players participating in this copy. The lowest level in the game. It's the kind of newbie who has just entered the Samsung copy. I didn't expect to end up in a place like this on my first day. Hear the door push. The burly man also turned around suddenly. Glancing at Shen Jian who walked in, he showed a ferocious smile. I didn't expect that there would be human beings who dare to come to my house. Shen Jian narrowed his eyes. His home? Is this the needlework ghost's husband who dismembered her? It is inferior to the top red coat level. At best, it's at the same level as the deaf-mute old ghost whose strength has been reduced. He, human being, run away as much as you want. This human being was caught and beaten to death by me after escaping for 100 meters. How far can you escape? The burly ghost smiled grimly. Dropping the body in his hands, he approached Shen Jian step by step. Shen Jian's face was expressionless. What's going on in my heart? Then, while calling out the needlework ghost, he explained the situation. After listening, burly ghost? He was confused. This is clearly a human being. Why would you consider him your son? My son has clearly. He subconsciously wanted to open his mouth. But he quickly reacted and shut his mouth. He just looked at Shen Jian deeply.